All right, well, welcome in. Happy Friday. It is Happer Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, and Joey Colbert are with you. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I always forget to mute my speaker on my computer. By the way, on our open there, we are we have commissioned a lovely music man to make us, or I think he's actually commissioned himself.
Oh, wow.
But
someone stepped forward and said, I want this.
We will be apparently we will be receiving a new open.
Wow.
Which I am excited about, because the one that you just heard is obviously a placeholder. You know, we just threw some stuff in there. It could have lasted forever.
And you act as if we didn't have volumes of time to put together everything we needed for this show.
But I am excited to hear a highly produced, I don't know. Like I don't even know what the vibe of the show is. So the vibe of the song, it's going to be great. I have no idea what it's going to be.
What is the vibe of our show? We're a weekend. Do we have a vibe?
We're trying to figure it out. I don't know.
Trying to determine it.
I think so, Joey.
Yeah, I wish I knew what it was. I don't have a great answer.
I'll take any suggestions at this point.
Yeah, look, I'm sure we will get suggestions as to what the vibe of this show is.
Canceled? It should be gone.
Will we accept the suggestions? That is to be debated.
Yeah, no, we will find our groove as we continue on down the line. It is a Friday, which means we have a full weekend of football. So we have obviously the divisional round games over the next 2 days, 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. We will pick those. We have the national championship on Monday. We'll of course talk about that on Monday. But I was thinking about this on the way in. I got a little bit sad, like not like the football sickos when they cry to themselves when football ends. But I was thinking about how next week is really the last football week, the last real football week of the year. Of the season.
Especially with where the national championship falls now, like you get this 3-day stretch here of football, and then it's just gone.
This is it.
This is the last time there will be multiple days of football that actually matter in a row until August.
And we can turn our full attention to basketball.
And which is normally not a statement made by the bulk of the state, but now is.
They should
embrace.
I'm glad if
more people are excited about Nebraska Northwestern than they are Bills Broncos in this state for the first time ever.
Maybe it's quite possible.
I don't know if that's true, but I'm going to say that
if Nebraska basketball has caused people, their success has caused people to actually care about basketball and think about basketball more, then I will take the trade. I love.
Wait, you wouldn't want the trade if people didn't care as much about basketball? You'd be like, Nebraska shouldn't be good anymore.
I don't understand the question.
Well, you said that you would take the trade, like the trade is
like Nebraska being good.
Okay, so you wouldn't accept Nebraska being good if people weren't as interested in basketball.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess that's what
that's what you said.
I mean, so I said the exact opposite, but yeah.
No. You said trade, as in you're giving something up. So you're giving up Nebraska being bad.
I guess so, yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to... I didn't understand what you were saying. You're not understanding what I'm saying in reverse.
No, because the point blank period that you want people to like basketball. I want people to care about basketball. Yeah. I think it's good that people care about basketball.
No, I get
that's all. And the trade-off is that Nebraska basketball is usually bad, and this time they're good. And if that's the thing that everyone in the world has to give up in order for people to care about basketball, then I will take the trade. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I still feel like it's like a weirdly insulting
Is
thing.
it a backhanded compliment? That's interesting. Yeah, because I think it is. Yeah,
it absolutely
that's kind of how
it absolutely is. How would you feel if this is the start of Nebraska being up here and then you and Creighton being where Nebraska's been? Would you take that trade?
No, I wouldn't.
People love basketball more, but the basketball team of which you love is where Nebraska has been.
I wouldn't think about it very much because
Would you take that trade? More people love basketball. Creighton basketball is where Nebraska basketball is historically.
I love that more people love basketball.
But you would not take the trade.
And then I wouldn't really think about Nebraska basketball.
Okay.
Because we focus on ourselves. Eyes forward.
You're ourselves as in you? Or
Yeah, as in me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right,
All
cool. Let's blow through that. Today on the show, we will have a very special Omaha Storm Chasers announcement coming up at 9:00 today. There will be
Are the potholes coming back?
It is not about the potholes.
Not the real potholes.
Those are definitely already here.
They don't leave.
Those are definitely already here.
They hibernate a little
back.
bit.
The Omaha Storm Chasers have an announcement to make. They'll be making it right around that time, and let's just say the person who the announcement is about will be on the show.
Oh, it's a person.
It is
a new mascot.
It's about a person. I will give you at least that. It's not a mascot. A mascot, kind of a person, not exactly a person, but this is a real human person.
Wow, the Storm Chasers signed Kyle Tucker.
Nope, that would unfortunately be the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they have broken. I shouldn't say they broke baseball. It's really not on them. People are gonna heap a bunch of crap all over the Dodgers today, and I get it. But at the same time, baseball has been broken because of Manfred forever.
I don't want to do the other thing where we applaud the Dodgers for their creative accounting that they themselves can get away with because teams are willing or players are willing to do that with them.
Yeah.
Then they're probably not willing to do that with our team.
I don't want to. No.
Do you think Kyle Tucker is going to take $30 million deferred to play in the AL Central?
Probably not.
So, before we just give the Dodgers their flowers for spending money, let's acknowledge that they get to do things like pay Shohei Ohtani $2 million a year, and our teams would never get to do that.
I appreciate the sentiment, but I appreciate the sentiment of spending money. I think it's...
Yeah, no, I like that someone is doing... I want more teams to do that.
Exactly. I would prefer it to the exact opposite, which was what we get with 95% of the league. But yeah, if they're the only ones, then we have a little bit of a problem. So a 4-year, $240 million deal for Kyle Tucker. Apparently, he was offered $50 million a year by the New York Mets and said, actually, I'll take $60 million a year by the Los Angeles Dodgers, which is crazy. So we'll talk about that throughout the show today.
He's not even...
I know. We'll get into it. Don't worry.
It's wild.
Jake Sorensen from 93.7 The Ticket in Lincoln, our dear friend, your friend and mine, will be joining us at about 9:30
What in the world
today.
could he have to talk about?
Well, I would imagine this interview position will just be us sort of asking him mildly pointed questions about what he's going to do this weekend. It's
a perfect way to end the week.
Yeah, I think so.
What are we doing this weekend?
He's full of energy. And so you never really, I don't think he really knows what he's going to do. Because about 60% of the time he just gets in his car and starts driving somewhere. And
he doesn't know where he's going to end up. There's golf clubs usually in the back of the car.
I know.
There's not always a fully fledged plan. There's just commitment to doing something.
It's amazing.
As someone who's had him as a guest for multiple different things, his strength is just a willingness to opine and react to everything.
Yep.
Which makes him a great way to finish your week.
And then have many gigantic beers at sporting events. And feeling fine afterwards. So Jake will join us later on in the show. That is the lineup powered by the referees at John Higgins Weather Guard. We want to hear from you all today. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Connor Happer, at Mike J. Schaefer, at Happer Schaefer on Twitter. I saw our friend from Husker Hoop Central yesterday. So he was listening to the show on Spotify, and you know what comes up with the transcript. If you actually look at your screen, it says, I've decided that Happenschaft is the German word to describe the feeling of not believing your basketball team is getting enough airtime.
Look, we can try to change that as much as I'm allowed to.
I love talking about basketball, and I would be happy to. By the way, Mike writes in on the subject of young Jake Sorensen talking junk on Sipple at 9:30. There'll probably be a little bit of that. I think we actually might be the first. Correct me if I'm wrong here. We may be the first radio, and it's not like a point of I love Sipple. It's well documented. We might be the first radio show in recorded Nebraska history, state of Nebraska history, to not have Sipple on as a weekly guest. What do you think about that?
I mean,
unless it was the one that he was hosting.
Yeah. So the one counter here is our previous iteration didn't have him as a weekly guest because we had the spillover,
We had him on every day.
Was not stolen from the crossover at all.
Not at all.
The spillover, an original idea out of the original city of Lincoln. And so we would have him daily there, but we didn't have him as a guest.
Right.
Unless sometimes
counts,
we did actually have a story big enough that we did ask him to come on.
Maybe the presence of Sipple. First radio show without the but now we get the, just
certainly on this station, there's no question.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think Matt has him on either. So maybe we're tied for first. I mean, we decided to get these new guests.
Matt and us, we have the same guest book. I had no idea.
I guess we have the same.
When Sorensen comes on his show on Mondays, it's going to be wild.
That would be, or he has a random special Omaha Storm Chasers related guest at some point today. That would be fun.
I might have to say something at that point.
We will take that as we go. So that is once again our lineup powered by the referees at John Higgins Weather Guard. All right. Elsewhere today, it is widely reported that Mike Ekeler is headed to
likely
USC,
to the City of Angels.
Yeah, I'd call it likely. I mean, extremely likely.
It's
done maybe
for several weeks. I think it's been likely he's not going to be here.
Right, but now there is a place, as there has been for the last couple of days, and that seems, done.
I just thought it was, and Matt Zenitz does incredible work. This isn't really to poke fun at him. I think he's as good of a newsbreaker as there is in college sports, connected to the agents and all of that. I would not want that job. That job sounds absolutely miserable. He's really, really good, but I definitely laughed when I saw likely
hiring.
And then as myself and a former colleague, coworker of mine were texting, it'd have been really great if there was a graphic that just said likely, under a fiery photo of Ekeler.
We love the graphics these days.
Yeah, the graphics are a big deal.
Huge.
Big deal.
They're very, very important to society. They definitely make everything better. So we will have that conversation. A couple thoughts, extra thoughts on that, even though we've talked about it pretty extensively over the last
kind of led the charge on it, I would say.
I'd say, yeah, once we saw it floating around, we're like, oh yeah, this is probably worth talking about. We have a blatantly stolen topic from Sam McEwen this morning. Thank you, Sam. I have done some research. It's not just a blatantly, the topic idea is indeed stolen, but I have added some extra research into the conversation, and we will talk about what Sam asked yesterday on Twitter, which is, what is Nebraska's comp program in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I was like, who is their neighbor? Like, who are they hanging out with?
Oh, I could tell you.
Forced or unforced?
I could tell you with some data.
Did you get between the sheets?
I did.
Wow.
I just added.
Is that a benchmark we're going to have on this show, between the sheets?
That's a good one. I don't know that I could do it every day because it's just.
It wouldn't have to be every day, but if we give you a special day of the week where you're really getting between the sheets, doesn't that put too much pressure?
Yeah, it's too tedious to do once a week. It has to come to me.
Okay, that's fine.
It has to come to me. So maybe if we could hit the just this is deployed at this time.
Okay.
Then I don't know how that works from a sales perspective.
I kind of want a voiceover that really, with a script that talks about you getting between the sheets.
We have a voiceover guy. He will say everything correctly.
Yeah, I was gonna say it'd be like Colin gets between the sheets as he does a deep dive.
I want to get the College World Series guy to talk to us more. The brought to you by Bank of the West. That guy.
Yeah.
College World Series. I want to get that guy a little bit more.
Is he involved. Do we think he's friends with the Westwood One guy?
He is the Westwood One guy.
Yeah, because that's Westwood all. The Westwood One is my favorite.
For the men's College World Series.
Yeah. I thought it was. I didn't know. I didn't
our
have
guy.
the knowledge.
I actually don't know that guy. I assume we have access to him since we're the home of the College World Series. So we gotta find him and make him say Connor gets between the sheets. Could be fun. Anyway, we'll talk about that as we go on throughout the show today.
Fun for all of us.
I have a basketball-related graphic I'd like to show you.
I saw said graphic.
All right, well, we'll put it up on the screen and talk about it then. We will have both of our local basketball teams in action this weekend, Nebraska and Northwestern tomorrow. Creighton and Providence tonight. Today's the final day to enter the portal. And I'm not trying to, count Nebraska's chickens before they hatch here.
Some of those chickens have been on Twitter.
I know. Isaiah Hunter, he's
Just
coming
peeping.
back. It's amazing. So I don't want to, once again, I don't want to count the chickens before they hatch. Like they still have a chance to enter the portal.
Those specialist chickens are the chickens we're watching today.
Interesting. We're watching chickens.
Yeah, well, I mean, if that's the analogy we're going with.
I'd like to.
Are they still in the coop?
So I think that they've done a nice job of holding on to guys, or at least they've been able to hold on.
Chickens
to guys.
are in the coop.
So we will talk about that as we go on throughout the show. We have an NFL topic for you. Of course, we'll make picks for the NFL games coming up a little bit later on in the show, and then what Nebraska is sort of looking for this weekend. Obviously, defensive lineman is at the top of the board, at the top of the priority chart. So we'll get into that, and then of course we'll talk about how baseball is dead and the Dodgers blew it.
Oh yeah,
ruined.
That was a segment that we would do intermittently on the old show about how baseball was dead, and then we would talk about how it was decidedly not dead.
Not dead.
Yeah,
not dead. Because everybody loves to say, like, when they don't like a thing that is going on in a sport, they say enter sport here is dead, and it's not.
It's not. It's not even like a.
It's just different.
It's not even that. It's other sports. It's very famously baseball, and a writer. I'll have to find this article. This was like 10 years ago. Did a deep dive of trying to find the first time that phrase was really referenced to baseball. Funny. And it actually goes back into the 70s with some changes that were made and some of the old scribes not liking that the mound was
amazing,
was coming down, and that fences and were coming in a little bit. And there seemed to be too much push to the offense and catering to that side of the sport. And it was going to kill the sport as you knew it.
So you're telling me baseball survived that time?
I'm telling you that people have been declaring the death of that sport for a long time, and they have looked like the morons that they are every time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look great for 2027.
That's true. We're looking at a long lockout. Greg in Myrtle Beach writes in on the text line. Good morning, Greg. Please ask Long Drive Sorensen about taking down the big boss, the 563-yard par 6 at Savannah's Harbor Club. You could barely see the flagstick with a telescope rangefinder. Studley. Wow. A par 6 for Jake? If there's a golf course, he'll find it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
There is a decent chance he's already aware of said course, possibly has played it.
It sounds like he did play.
Okay, because he's been down in that area multiple times.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm familiar enough with his travels to know that he's been down in that area.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll ask him about that. I'll make sure
I feel about a par 6.
You just hit 2 consecutive 300-yard balls and you're there.
Well, I mean, yeah.
It's easy.
Everyone can do it.
I do it on the simulator all the time.
Yeah. Well, you would use your pitching wedge.
That's right. Gap wedge.
Maybe sometime this spring we'll just have a special show where we bring in Chris Bassett to talk golf with
I would love to have Baz on just to do whatever, and it'd be the same thing as Sorensen. Actually, we'd all just make fun of each other probably.
Yeah. He's making a special appearance on a side project of mine sometime soon.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me know how it goes, and then we'll grade him, and then maybe he can, come join the big dogs.
Yeah. We'll call it a tryout.
All right. That is today's show. We are happy that you have decided to join us this morning. And as we said, we have plenty more to come. Happy Friday, everybody out there. We're back after this on 1620 The Zone. even if it's 6 o'clock in the morning, we are still doing a radio show tweet today. For the last 2 days, the theme has been sandwiches. The one that is pictured. Oh, actually, this is a response to a tweet from yesterday. And it was my Primanti Brothers sandwich that I had when I was in Pittsburgh. When I was in Pittsburgh for 3 days and got 2 Primanti Brothers sandwiches.
Wow. Is that because it was so
locations.
good initially, or because it was just convenient?
It's because it was so good initially, and I was like, I think I have to go and get I needed lunch again, and I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? Wander around, and the potential is there for me to not get something delicious, or get another Primanti Brothers sandwich.
Yeah,
that's what I decided.
I think it would be an enjoyable just experience as you go along in life. At some point, we just stop and you just discuss cities only by the sandwiches that you've ate in them.
I'd be happy to.
You would have you couldn't talk about any other aspect of the city.
I'd be happy
just
to.
the sandwich.
I had one of the best sandwiches of my life in Atlanta.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a place that you would have a good sandwich.
Well, I mean, any city I'm in,
other people might have a great sandwich.
I look for a good sandwich, and I found one in this place. It's like this whole I forget what it's Ponce City Market, I believe it's called.
Do you just do you Reddit or search for best sandwiches for the city?
No,
do you just wander.
I hope
aimlessly.
I hope that the sandwiches present themselves to me.
Oh, you want them to entice you?
Well, I mean, yeah. So it's a combination of that and
how do the sandwiches present themselves to you if you've not been to the city?
Like I said, it's like a combination of that and me wandering and trying to find the best thing I possibly can. Like I don't, unless it's a overly famous sandwich place like Primanti Brothers was, or Katz in New York or something like that. Like I won't be on the search for any individual sandwich. I'll just hope that some place has a good one.
Does any part
and
of
that's
you,
what happened in Atlanta.
Do you want to go to Ann Arbor to go to the famous deli spot that's always discussed?
I haven't heard about this. What's this? What's going on here?
Brunson, BC. This is their stop when they go to cover the Michigan game.
I trust those guys with my life.
But Zingerman's Deli.
Oh, I have heard Brunts talk about this before.
They stood in line. They were willing to be in the tourist trap, the whatever you would call it in that situation, just because they wanted this deli.
Absolutely.
I assume that you had heard of this. You have not.
I probably, it's starting to ring a bell now that you say it, but
yeah. I first heard of it through Campus Eats, and then those guys just discussing it.
So. I love sandwiches. Love a good sandwich. Love a good sandwich on the road, So Luke, by the way, this is the reason why I said this. Luke responded to the tweet from yesterday and said, Kansas City for lunch. Is this a thing that I just that I've created over the last 4 years when we have not been doing a show, Schaefer? Kansas City for lunch? Or do you recognize that from beforehand?
We kind of discussed it. It wasn't, I think it became a thing with you specifically, but
sometimes you go to Kansas City for lunch.
We discussed the idea of getting off air and then just driving to Kansas City and eating barbecue.
Okay, that's what it is. Yeah.
So, but I think it was refined, but it's hard to believe that it was refined on a show in which you were from 10 to 2. You would have no ability to have lunch.
Yeah, at that point, I just lamented about my lack of lunch.
So it might, I might have to give the original show more, but we definitely, because I think at that time I hadn't had Joe's KC yet, and you were kind of appalled by that.
Yeah, I am still probably
I've had it.
I'm appalled that you hadn't had it up until that point.
It
still
somehow just kept being not avoided, but
I just missed it. I get it. Yeah. There's a lot of options in Kansas City for lunch.
And there are a lot of options, and then there's new options now that I need to go try.
Yeah, I feel like I had some sort of a dream recently. I know that Q39 is opening up a new location in Kansas City, but I feel like maybe I had some sort of a dream that they were opening up a location in Omaha, and I felt like that was a really good dream. I don't know. That's ringing a bell in my head. I know that they're not, but I really want them to.
We would like them to open a location in Omaha.
Yes, we would. We would support that wholeheartedly. But I'm also past that point in my life where I can do Kansas City for lunch anymore. You know, I'm too busy, too much stuff going on. Like I wouldn't be able to leave here at 10 and then go get lunch in Kansas City and come back and still be alive, like still live to tell the story about
To
it.
get back in time for the Creighton game.
Too many people, but too many people would be mad at me. / like I'd be absent from too many people's lives. / like I'd miss stuff.
This sounds like a challenge for us to undertake in the summer.
I don't know.
I'm going to talk you into this.
I don't want our wives to be mad at us.
Well, I mean, it could
What?
be worth it.
No, I don't. Well, I mean, I love good lunch, but we'll get it when we're there. We'll go to a Royals game.
We
at
can
some point.
find the right day where it lines up perfectly for us to pull this off, and no one would be mad. It's a challenge. It's
All
a
right.
quest.
Well, we could potentially find it at some point.
Just ask Nebraska to play another football game down in Kansas City.
Oh, I bet there will be. So
Maybe when they won't have a stadium to play in and they just have to borrow that stadium because they can't ever figure out what they're going to do with their own stadium.
maybe the
That's
Chiefs
true.
will have to borrow Nebraska's stadium.
People would like that. The Chiefs would not like
The
that.
Chiefs would
The Lincoln Chiefs.
the Lincoln Chiefs. Nebraska gets an NFL team.
That was a is that a single A baseball team at one point in time? That's a Mike Babcock question.
Ooh,
I'm pretty sure they were the Lincoln Chiefs. They were a Pittsburgh Pirates affiliate.
okay.
Babcock has told me about this multiple times.
That feels right.
They played at Sherman, I think, in Lincoln.
Nice ballpark.
Yeah, and so that was a thing at one point in time. I think the Lincoln Chiefs were a thing.
Make sure you beat the train
The
tracks.
Lincoln Giants were the like barnstorming Negro League baseball team out
Okay,
of Lincoln
the Giants
for a long time. Babcock also informed me about that.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, Mike Babcock is a great resource for
Incredible.
stuff like that.
Absolutely, and he is a great resource for all sorts of just incredible knowledge.
This is great. The first text that I promise we'll get to a topic at some point, but we're sort of meandering about right now. Here's Pedro on the text line. Pedro is a friend of the show and a friend of all of ours. So now, by way, Schaefer, he is a friend of you. Pedro writes in for the first time in the morning show. Hi guys, Connor, I've been retired for 7 years and I don't wake up this early in the morning. You, Schaefer, and Joey better be pretty entertaining and give me some sports. Nebraska, Creighton, Omaha, and whatever you think is funny. I trust you have a great show.
Received a text to remind you that
Pedro.
Omaha basketball and hockey play this weekend. They want
I
you
apologize.
You said the two programs, and I think
Yeah,
they felt
hockey's
like they were
playing
left.
The two I should have said the two high major programs. There is still the low major program in basketball and the hockey team. That is
They had a pretty good weekend last weekend.
indeed. By the way, one more sandwich text from the 515. Adrian's Cafe in Lenexa, best sandwich I've ever had. True story. I've never even heard of such a thing. Awesome, and it's just down the road. Just down the road.
But you couldn't do it for lunch.
I would feel bad about doing it for lunch at this point in my life. Maybe 10 years ago, maybe 5 years
Man.
ago. Things have changed.
Omaha
Schaefer.
Happer feels bad.
I'm
about
old.
things.
I'm old. I have a child. I have a wife. We're doing
I
a
just
whole
hear a
bunch
lot
of.
of
I have
excuses.
I
out
have
of you.
40
Family.
different jobs. It's
Just
just
a lot of excuses.
I can't just get up, upend my life, and leave for a day. That just
This
feels.
is amazing.
I can't do it.
What happened to you?
That would be ridiculous.
This is incredible.
Think about how
We'll make it
crazy
happen. I believe in my ability to do things.
All right. Let's get to the topics here today on the show. We'll probably continue this discussion over a couple segments, but now that we finally, I suppose there's no closure quite yet. Oh, by the way, my wife tweets into the show at Happer Schaefer. I support Kansas City for lunch.
See?
I don't know. I would just feel bad. She's just saying that.
You could bring back some leftover food
Yeah, but it would stink.
in your car. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, well, you could get like a cooler and you could have
Yeah.
it condensed to that cooler.
I've done that before. Anyway, Travis writes in, why is Connor being so soft? I don't know. I just would feel
Yeah,
bad.
this is a version of you that I don't particularly care for.
I
Excuse making Connor.
it is an excuse. So I'll give you that. Anyway, Mike Ekeler, he's gone. It's not official, but it's basically
Likely.
I'd call it likely. Put it on the graphic that he is
You saw the show title graphic.
I want to say this in like, this is a big picture thing here with Rule, I suppose. The Ekeler leaving thing, and I know we talked about it a lot over the last 2 days, and how, I think we kind of came to the conclusion on this show that it was sort of like it just felt like you weren't going to be able to keep him. It felt like you tried to keep him and you weren't able to keep him.
Yeah, they gave him a bag and he said no bag.
And I understand all that. That is what it is. But it bothers me a little bit. Do you get that part too?
I understand that part.
It's a little disconcerting.
Yeah, no,
to have a great coach like that leave after 1 year.
No, I totally understand that part. I just also, there's just the element of it that there's, at some point, there's nothing you could do. So you kind of can't.
What about when it happens? What about when it happens over a stretch of time, over a couple years now, where I feel like Nebraska has lost good upcoming coaches, like multiple good upcoming coaches?
I think Tony White is a significant more I don't like how that played out than Mike Ekeler. Full stop.
But now I'm throwing them into the same bucket.
Not that Tony White had but he maybe had a bigger impact than Mike Ekeler, but I don't know. You can argue that. Whatever. But yeah, I mean, I don't like that these coaches are leaving for parallel jobs. That's never great. Now, we have to see what it all is with Mike Ekeler. If it's special teams plus something else, I don't know, because then that's not a parallel thing. Because it's they offered him the money that they said that they did, that I've heard that they have, then he's not doing it for money. He's doing it for some other reason. We don't know what that is. Maybe it's he doesn't want to be in Nebraska. Maybe his family doesn't want to be in Nebraska. Maybe he got here and determined this isn't where he wants to coach anymore.
But okay, so there's all those reasons, and I 100% get it. But if Nebraska was going good and he really loved it here and he loved his role, and or Nebraska was willing to give him whatever it might be, basically the question I'm asking is, if Nebraska was in a better position as a program, would it have been likely that they would have been able to keep him? I think it gets more likely, right? I don't know. It can't help that Nebraska has had a lack of success on the football field.
Oh, sure.
It can't help that he is, he came in 1 year and immediately became the rising star coach on the staff, and that guy is gone. That on its face, that bothers me. On its face, that bothers me. I understand all the reasons why. I understand maybe you just weren't going to be able to keep him, and I once again I get that, but it still bothers me. And then you pair it along with Tony White, and you pair it along with Terrence Knighton, and you pair it along with just, I think, good and well-respected coaches who were doing a nice job at Nebraska that you just lost for a variety of different reasons. I don't that doesn't sit well with me. It does not sit well with me.
I totally get that. And like I said, I have more of that feeling as it relates to Tony White than I do Mike Ekeler, because if he was leaving to go somewhere that's a perennial playoff team, or that's a coach that you're not as wondering about their job security as you are Matt Rule, because there's a world where Lincoln Riley is not USC's coach in 2027.
Yeah. And
so it's not, it's not like he is fleeing from Nebraska because of job security purposes. He's actually going to as tenuous of a position as what he's leaving, if he does indeed surface at USC, which is likely. It's going to be a thing.
Likely.
I suspect. And so that aspect of it, a lot of it just feels like, for whatever reason, it can't be Nebraska. And I don't know if that's a personal family thing. I don't know if it's a him and Matt Rule thing, though I don't get the sense that it is, because I don't, that hasn't been conveyed to me that it's that.
It's been a thing with others, though.
Yeah, well, I think it was with Tony White.
Right.
And I don't think it was because they couldn't work together. I think it was because Matt Rule didn't want what Tony White was doing specifically. So he brings in Phil Snow, and Tony White's like, Yeah, I'm not doing that. I don't need this micromanager coach already to bring in an extra boss that he trusts more than me. I'm out. Good luck.
Yeah. Now,
by the way, I'm going to bring this guy with me that only has a career because of you, but he'd rather coach with me. That, to me, significantly worse than Mike Ekeler leaving for relatively ambiguous.
Relative ambiguity.
Relatively
Relatively
leaving in relative ambiguity.
Relatively
ambiguous is what I was trying to say, but I couldn't get to the word.
Yeah, I think that's where we're getting to the real stuff right there. Like, and then, you know, who he replaces them with. It's very interesting as well. You know, it sounds like it's going to be Josh Martin, who's going to be the special teams coordinator, who's been sort of the roving, like, all right, you replace this guy when you need to jump in. He feels like he's just always going to be on Rule's staff. They went out and got, or they elevated John Butler, who was, you know, just really wanted to coordinate a defense.
Yeah, that was one shouldn't have surprised people.
Those circumstances.
John Butler took that job because he was going to be the
but I'm saying, look at the people who he's put in those positions, and then, you know, in one case, I think with Butler, like how it worked out, but mostly what I'm talking about is, I think he has he likes to bring in people who he has the ability to, you know, to move around the chess pieces and stuff like that. And I don't feel like Ekeler was that kind of like, I don't feel like Ekeler was that kind of guy. Like Ekeler was like, nah, man, like I know how to do my job. Okay.
The sort of opposite to that though, is he did go out and hire Dana Holgorsen. Yep. So, and then, I mean, in the same vein, you have to give him credit for hiring Ekeler in the first place.
But I still don't feel like we're looking at Dana Holgersen's offense.
Yeah. And I don't either, famously.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that's more Dana than it is Matt Rule.
Interesting.
Like Dana is the one that stood up there and said, what you saw before is not what I want to do here. I'm not interested in that. That's not what and so this is, and all that I have source-wise has always said, hey, Dana gets to do what he wants on offense. He chose to retain those coaches the first year coming in. He came in and said, I actually really like this staff that I inherited. That's Dana. Like, I understand it's still Matt Rule's program.
There's a little Dylan in there too, obviously.
Well, sure, yeah.
For why it doesn't work.
But it's a lot of, you know, the one thing he wanted to do was his wide receivers coach. That was it. And that offense is what we saw.
Yeah.
So, you know, if it looks markedly different, and I hope it sure does, maybe we see more blossoming of Holgorsen. Maybe we see a change in him. But at some point, we have to take these guys at their word, because the other thing is, Matt Rule has said, not necessarily in his tenure at Nebraska, but previously, you go back and you look at things that he said, he likes coaches that have been on his staff that then get elevated into coordinator roles. He doesn't particularly want to go out and hire coordinators because he wants the framework of things to be working in one direction, read between the subtext. He wants to choose that direction.
Mm-hmm.
But,
or another way to look at it is he wants people who he could control.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Like,
you're right. I thought we were making the same point.
Right. It's just a different way of saying
right. And so it's I don't love the look of it in this specific instance. I think it's a lot more Mike Ekeler than it is Matt Rule in Nebraska.
I agree with you. I think if we're putting it together in one sentence, I would say.
And Tony White is the opposite of this.
I would say I don't really like this, but in this specific case, it probably is a little bit more like Mike Ekeler. But if you throw it into the bucket of all of the other things, then you start to wonder.
Yeah,
like,
and then there's
what's going on.
You know, is what I asked Sam McEwen about too. Like, it is really hard to have this program that is sustained and upwardly moving if you're constantly having different coaches coming in all the time, and it's not because they're leaving for these amazing opportunities. Now, in this situation, going to USC, going to Florida State, okay, whatever. But when we're talking about swapping in your offensive line coaches, no one's hiring Donovan Raiola. Has his name surfaced for anything?
I don't believe so. I don't have my searches up on Donovan Raiola, but I don't think so.
You know,
it's a great point.
Terry Braden ended up at USF.
South Florida, yeah.
Garrett McGuire ended up with his dad at Texas Tech. His other opportunity that I am aware of was that he could have went to Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
You have Bob Wager, who I don't even know if he's coaching at the college level.
I'm not
He
sure.
probably just went back to the high school level down in Texas. You have who else have they moved on from? Evan Cooper surfaced at Florida State. I'm fascinated what John Butler does if he's just back in the NFL.
I would think so.
As a position
Kind of
coach,
seems like
'cause it sure seems like I want to be a defensive coordinator, and then it went how it went. And
Yeah.
I don't think it was all John Butler's fault. And again, I think he was given not a lot of great things to work with and asked to kind of make, chicken salad out of
Agreed.
what.
Agreed.
Not necessarily his fault in that regard, but ultimately, you're accountable for the stability of your program, and that includes your coaches. And it has not been stable at any point.
Nope. And I always thought that was the draw. Right?
It's never. But the thing is, they've left for like Fran Brown's leaving to go somewhere better. Elijah Robinson's leaving, or will have the opportunity to leave to go somewhere better. Like it's that Marcus Satterfield left to go be a head coach. Like when they left previously at other stops, it was because they were successfully
it made sense.
doing.
Yeah, it was
here. It's just
linear.
like, well, maybe they're leaving because they're not good, or they're leaving because they don't want to work for you,
or it changes every 10 seconds, which is part of the deal too. All right. We got a phone call. We'll wait till after the break. So hang on, old man Doug. We'll get to that on the other side, and we'll get your thoughts as well. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. But first, yes, we have a big weekend of football coming up. Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. You can make picks and win money right now in Nebraska. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick if your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, and more. Get those right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. So check out any of the quarterbacks that we talked about yesterday, any of the 8 of them, running backs, wide receivers, higher or lower on any of their stat categories that are available for you. And there's plenty of other stuff going on the Underdog app as well. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today. Use promo code HAPPER1620 to score $75 of bonus entries when you play your first $5. Promo code HAPPER1620. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 19 plus and present in Nebraska. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms_DFS_.html for details. Concern with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Love to hear from you guys, whether it be over the Equitable Bank inbox or Twitter at Happer Schaefer. You can find us there, or of course our individual Twitter accounts as well, or the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. That's where we find Old Man Doug this morning. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning. And I think you guys know I'm not the biggest rule defender. But in regards to Ekeler, and this could be a shot at rule or it could be defending rule in this instance. But first off, any coach was going to be better than Foley. Nice guy you'd love to share a pancake with, but just didn't get any results. But I'm going to take a little bit of a contrarian position here. I thought our special teams the last 4 or 5 games was not good. And we had the 2 really good kickoff returns, but in the last, it seems like 4 games, it would have been better just to fair catch it. Now, the question is, who is making the decisions on that? Was it the coaches saying fair catch it or do it? And there was absolutely zero blocking. I mean, we got to the 15-yard line. I mean, the rugby kicker, which is great. I mean, you have more time for your guys to get downfield and whatever, but I didn't think our special teams, other than the one, kickoff return, 2 kickoff returns, was completely fabulous. I don't know. I mean, am I not, or is it a personnel? Or we have the wrong personnel? And again, the question is, was Rule making those decisions on whether to bring it out or not, or was that Ekeler? Because we clearly didn't have anybody could block anybody, so why would you run the ball out of the end zone and do anything but? And I'd love to see the statistics on what the average kickoff return is, because it seems like for every team, it's better off just to fair catch it and come to the 25.
Yeah, there is a lot there. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate the call. It was pretty bad. I mean, especially glaringly bad in the Utah game.
Yeah, which I mean, if you're someone that's like maybe your special teams coordinator shouldn't be spending time with linebackers, you would point at how that game played out. Now, you don't know if that's that big of a deal. We don't know if it's because some people opted out or injuries or what have you. You don't know if it's just players making decisions on their own. Like, I'm back here, I'm just going to return this.
Rule, I believe, said something after the game to the effect of it was by design that they were taking those out.
Yeah.
Which I don't know whose decision that was.
Rule has said since he's gotten here, he wants to be aggressive on kick return. And when it works, obviously against Maryland, you have the 90-yard return. Against Northwestern, you have the kick return for a touchdown. You've had other multiple kick returns that help set up you at the 35 or the 40 at times this year. It's great. The trade-off is when it's not great, it's usually horrendous. And you're starting at the 17 when you could start famously, as Parker Gabriel would say.
They just give it to you.
They give you the ball at the 25.
Yeah.
And so that's the trade-off. So when you have those moments against Northwestern and against Maryland, it means that you're probably going to be more aggressive. When it doesn't work, it's going to look really bad. So you have to acknowledge, like, that's part of it. If you always take it at the 25, you're never going to have a game-flipping play where you score a touchdown the way that you did against Northwestern. Doug mentioned in there, I think things that matter, they got better personnel. I don't know if that's all Mike Ekeler, but, having a long snapper that could actually snap the football, valuable. Now, Kevin Gallick was involved before Mike Ekeler was brought in, so I don't know that he gets a ton of credit for that. Kyle Cunanan was not. He went out and he got Kyle Cunanan from the portal. Like, they had a different kicker set up there. It was going to be John Hole versus Tristan Alvano, previously. Mm-hmm. And Ekeler didn't want that, knew that Kyle Cunanan was in the portal, went out and called him immediately, brought him in. That's his kicker. So you
went out and got Archie. Who was, I mean, statistically, one of the shortest punters in college football. However, he did what they asked him to do.
Right.
And, like that, theoretically, that gets better over time.
And again, part of it being shorter is that they're by design they're not allowing punt return yards.
Right.
So you go back to the year before, and it's like, yeah, you might have gotten more distance out of Buschini or was it Brian Buschini last year?
Buschini. Yeah.
I felt like Buschini was here for like 7 years.
I think over multiple administrations.
Right.
Yes.
And so he might have a further distance, but Nebraska gave up exponentially more yards because of bad coverage concepts and everything else. So like, when we have these conversations, because my brother was this way, he was just like this Archie guy. He doesn't punt it as far. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
And it's also like, okay, but where is he punting from? Generally, they're punting from midfield more often than not, so he's shorter distance. And they're pinning the ball inside the 20 at a higher rate.
I thought the point of Archie was that no, you're not going to bomb it over people's heads, but you are going to get a couple wacky plays that happen on punts just because of the way he punts the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do any of the fakes. They didn't do any of the the stuff that knuckled up in the air or anything like that. Like they didn't have a game flipping play that way.
They definitely had returners who didn't return the ball and allowed it to roll deeper into the inside the 20.
The problem is if you are relying on that, which I think you kind of were, like that's what you're saying when you have that guy as your punter, you're kind of relying on just freak circumstances and for that to happen. And at best it happens once a year, twice a year, something like that. So
I didn't think they were relying on that. I think they felt like he was very good at pinning teams, and he did that largely pretty well.
Yeah, I thought Archie was fun.
And he came up valuable in some big situations. His punt kept Cincinnati inside the 10 to start that drive where your defense then leaks out and you end up with the Malcolm Hartzog interception. He's on his way to somewhere else. I don't know if he's surfaced.
Arizona, I believe.
For Malcolm Hartzog.
Undefeated basketball team.
Oh, one of 3 in the country.
That's right. We didn't talk about them yesterday. We talked a lot about Miami of Ohio. So, it definitely it was strong after the initial.
The program as a whole took a step back after the USC game. I think that's a fair.
Definitely.
I mean, UCLA was against a horrible team, and you did what you're supposed to do. And even then, and I took some heat for it, I thought Nebraska could have beat that team by 25 to 28 points, and they won it by 7.
Oh, definitely.
But that was not, they didn't exactly cover themselves in glory against the worst team that they played on their conference slate.
Well, Doug was talking about special teams, and I think what happened is after the initial burst of oh my God, this is so much better than it has been, and it definitely was, that sort of shine started to wear off, and you realized, oh, it's just okay.
Well, I would say it was better than okay. I would say it was good, but it wasn't.
It's definitely the best it's been at Nebraska in a really long time.
It wasn't elite. It didn't,
It was fine. It was good.
And I think we can accept good as good.
Yeah.
But it also helps when you're coming from the worst special teams operation in the country.
Exactly. All right, let's take a break. 7:00 hour coming up. We have some topic. So, I mean, this sort of goes off of our conversation that we're just having here about how Nebraska got, just fell off a little bit as the season went along this year. So Sam asked yesterday, which neighborhood is Nebraska in? What's their comp program? We'll tell you both statistically and feel-wise when we return on 1620 The Zone. Also Nebraska related. The thought was they were going to bring in a visitor this weekend. The defensive lineman, I believe his last name is Green, out of Oregon. They were going to try and bring him in yesterday, and then he ended up taking some other visits, and the plan is for him to still visit on Sunday, I believe, according to the reporting that's out there. That feels like a red flag. That feels like that's probably not happening at this point. If he's taking other visits for Schaefer, you know how this goes better than I do.
No, the way that Tim kind of explained it is that something had come up that would prevent him from being able to come to Nebraska, but the other visits that he was looking at were like more feasibly closer for the schedule he was on. So he kind of switched some stuff around. But yeah, it's never great. You want that opportunity before others. It does sound like there's legitimate interest there from Green in Nebraska, and it just comes down to if they have the chance of getting him on campus, their chances go way, way up, obviously. So
just are they going to be able to get him on campus?
Right. And it also sounds like from Tim, and obviously, paraphrasing what he was saying elsewhere, the visit is not it's not like it has to absolutely happen for this to come together, because what the money looks like and what it looks like with other opportunities are equally as valuable as coming on and seeing Nebraska's beautiful campus in January. So all of that to say, I think there's a fair chance that he would be a nice get, in the sense that they don't have anyone that looks like him from a physical standpoint at that size. The other linemen that they have brought in are more under 300 pounds.
Right.
Your quick twitch defensive tackle types. This is a big beefy football player that you're sticking in the middle of the line to eat linemen.
Mm-hmm. Which is what they needed. People have been clamoring for this.
One of those, even with the change in style that you have going on, you like to have someone who just takes offensive linemen off the board.
Absolutely. Yeah. And especially with a guy with power conference experience. So we will see on that one. We just wanted to give people a quick update, or at least from the people who know it best. But our dear friend yesterday, Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald, had a poll question. We love poll questions, but Sam's poll questions are a little bit more sportsy, as are some others. Was kicking around this idea for the Pick Six podcast, which is Sam's World Herald podcast. What is Nebraska's comp program in the Big Ten? Not where it wants to go, but the neighborhood it currently lives in or closest to. I've offered 3 options, but there is an other option too. So the options that Sam offered are these: Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, or other. Once again, go off of his. We can talk about other parameters as we go on throughout this conversation here, but go off of his first. Not where it wants to go, but the neighborhood it currently lives in or lives closest to. Once again, the options he gave were Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, or other. I haven't actually voted in this yet, so
I haven't voted either.
My vote would definitely be other at this point.
Interesting. Okay, based on the sheets?
Based on my eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but definitely based on the sheets too. The hard data backs up that Nebraska is one of, if not the worst program in the Big Ten over like the last handful of seasons.
Yeah, and I don't
like these are not.
Here's the thing for me is I'm not viewing this from the where they were standpoint of, I don't care about what it looks like from 2020 or 2021 perspective so much as kind of the last few years under Rule, how they played, what that kind of looks like moving forward. Does that make sense?
Okay. Well, sure. I guess I can adjust the parameter. Like,
no.
I
go with what you have.
If I adjusted to that in my head, the closest one would be Minnesota. But
that's where I'm at.
I don't believe that. I mean,
I think right now Nebraska is staring Minnesota in the face.
I don't think so. I think Nebraska has, like, you look at Minnesota and you see identity. You look at Minnesota and you see, like, we know exactly what we're going to be. It's probably not good enough. Their players get bought off their team every year, right? Like, so that's a little bit different than what it is at Nebraska. Who
They
has
all
the
go to
power.
Oregon. Tell me this isn't true.
Nebraska has
Dylan Raiola, Coy Parrott.
That's true, yeah.
Handshaking in Oregon.
Different
they left their
circumstances.
neighborhood to go to a ritzy new neighborhood.
Different
The
circumstances.
Nike town.
Nebraska has a little bit more power to be able to retain those players, but they have significantly less identity. They have significantly less base underneath them, I think. And so I look at Minnesota and I'm like, yeah, if Nebraska could get some of the tenets that Minnesota has as a football program and add it to what they're already bringing to the table, then yeah, Nebraska would be a good football program, but they don't, And so I don't know. I guess that'd be the closest comp in terms of wins and losses. Would you like to know what the numbers say?
Yes, get into the numbers.
So I have tracked, and the reason I jumped into this yesterday is because I knew we were going to talk about this today, but I had already tracked Big Ten wins back to 2018. All right. So I started, sorry, I had to take a drink. I started tracking, I just have every year from 2018 and on, and then the totals. Sans 2020. 2020 is not included in this data. Who has the most wins would not surprise you over that period of time, and that would be Ohio State, 85-12 in that period of time. Not, once again, not including 2020, 85-12 and 57-6 in conference. That is an average total per year of 12 and basically 2. 12.1 and 1.7. So that's at the very, very top. Obviously, there are very few programs that would even sniff that. Oregon is the next closest with 79 wins. So Nebraska since 2018, not including 2020, is 35-51. They are 20-43 in conference. That is an average of 5-7 a year, basically, and then about 3-6 in conference per year. That is the total number. 35 wins is tied for, I believe, tied for the third lowest amount of wins in the entire Big Ten. And remember, some of these Pac-12, the new Pac-12 teams were going off of when they weren't in the Big Ten for some of it as well. So 31 wins by Rutgers is the least amount of wins. 34 wins by Purdue. 35 wins by both Northwestern and Nebraska since 2018, excluding 2020. Maryland has 39 wins. Michigan State has 43 wins. Indiana has 48. Obviously, they've done a lot of that work in the last 2 years. Illinois has 47 wins over that period of time. So Nebraska is over 7 seasons of data. Nebraska is 12 wins worse than Illinois. They are 23 wins worse than Minnesota. They are 29 wins worse than Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
They're not in the same neighborhood. They're not in the same ballpark. Now, this is a long period of time, but I understand what you're saying.
So part of it for me is there's switches here. One, you have the Matt Rule program, so I think that sort of changes the neighborhood versus Scott Frost's, boarding house that he was staying in.
100%.
So there's partially that. There's also just the shift in those 3 programs now, just like Nebraska, the Big Ten West doesn't exist.
Yep.
So the Big Ten West, I think, propped up a fair amount of those records in the same way that Nebraska propped up a fair amount of those records by being bad.
That's probably true, but with that being said,
this isn't to discount what you were doing.
I still have no doubts about about what Minnesota and Iowa do on a yearly, and Illinois is better now than they were where they were in the Big Ten West.
The thing, I don't know what to do with Illinois because my head says, well, they should be with Minnesota and with where I think Nebraska effectively is. I think they're actually a level above that. I think Iowa is like 2.5 levels, maybe 3 above that. Here's why I think Nebraska, Minnesota.
It's short-term versus long-term, right?
You just go back in the Matt Rule era alone. I mean, Minnesota is 8-5 with a bowl win. Nebraska is 7-6 this past year. Minnesota in 2024, 8-5 with a bowl win. Nebraska is 7-6. So there's a 2-win difference there. And in 2023, both teams went 5-7. Minnesota went to a bowl game and won a game. So there's really, to me, not a big difference between where they're at right now. Part of that is I think Minnesota has kind of moved backwards to where, and Nebraska has slightly climbed up.
Yeah, they probably, Minnesota probably plateaued a little bit.
Yeah. And that's my fear for Nebraska, is that if they don't make a seismic jump anytime soon,
exactly,
they're in this Minnesota plateau.
Yeah, the thing that people always like to turn to is the fact that Nebraska has all this ability to grow. And like Nebraska has so much upward mobility, more than anybody in the artist formerly known as the Big Ten West. There's no doubt. But I still look at Minnesota, 8 wins over the last couple of years. Like you said, I understand they have a lot of success in bowl games, but I don't know. That matters.
Yeah, I don't want to discount that. It's not, like, take 3 wins off the board, 1 off for Nebraska and a loss. I'm not doing that.
I still look at them and I think, wow, they get close to basically maximizing every year,
Yeah.
Like I try to judge them against, what are their parameters? What do they have on their roster? What are their constraints and things like that? And I look at that program, I'm like, wow, I'm pretty impressed. You guys win 8 games every year. Like that's awesome.
But isn't
Nebraska
the
falls like 400 feet below of what they actually could be.
But that's my argument as to why they're in the same neighborhood. You have one program that's maxing out to get there, and you have another that, in my mind, should have went 9-3 in 2024. Easily 9-3 in the regular season. Should they just be able to do simple things like kick field goals, snap footballs, not be idiots, simple things. And then in 25, I mean, depending on how you want to look at it, still feel like that's an 8-win football team at the worst, and they still managed to come in under it. And with that schedule on top of it. So part of why I think that they're in this neighborhood is Minnesota is getting every ounce of what it can to get there, whereas Nebraska is just receding into that level of where, they should be higher than that. They're not, because they don't do things as well as Minnesota does. Minnesota isn't higher than where they are because there's sort of a ceiling that sits on top.
And that's why I favor the program that
there's a better feeling around what Minnesota's doing.
Right.
That doesn't mean that I don't think that they're sort of circling each other in very similar territory.
Yeah, they're probably like where it all ends up is they, like you said, they end up being in the same sort of ballpark. I guess, but like
now when they play on the football field right now, Minnesota shows you a program that takes advantage of every opportunity. Mm-hmm. Nebraska has its head coach talking about how their game plan wasn't very good when they lost by 18 points.
Couple texts here. First from the 515, it says to call Nebraska's record inexcusable is being generous. I mean, it is absurd. Like this is not a small sample size. Now, to Schaefer's point, the Frost era was a disaster, and most of the data that we're calling from here is from the Frost era. But I mean, at this point, it's 4 years versus 3 years.
Sure.
And
that's why I'm saying the 3-year sample size makes Minnesota, Nebraska very close to me. That's why that's the one that I'm picking. I'm also not picking Illinois because they've shown, with Luke Altmaier and everything else, that they're above that.
And if I pulled it from a 10-year sample size, it would be a little bit different. It would be in Nebraska's favor a little bit more because they would have 16 in there where they won 9 games and
6 games in 2015.
6, yes, total with the bowl game, and then 17 was terrible, 4-8. So I don't know. Actually, maybe it wouldn't get that much better.
I don't think it's going to do a whole lot.
But if you take it back to 2014, then you get another 9-win season in there. If you take it back to 2010, then all of a sudden Nebraska looks like it's halfway decent because they're being propped up by 4 Bo Pelini years that went 9-4 that everybody was mad at anyway. So, I mean, I don't know. This is a large sample size.
Yeah.
This is 7 years, and Nebraska is one of the 3 worst programs in the Big Ten over that period of time.
If you had Matt Rule on your show, he would tell you he doesn't own any of that.
I didn't do that.
And he's right.
He's right. He didn't do that. But I still don't know if he's the guy to take him to the next.
No, and that's an entirely different conversation. I'm just saying, when presented with that thing, it feels like Nebraska's Minnesota, and the reason that doesn't feel good is that Minnesota's Minnesota and Nebraska's Minnesota are two very different ways to get into that neighborhood.
I guess my response to that, if I was being, if I was trying to throw it back in his face, I would say, yeah, he would say, yeah, I didn't do that. I would say, well, you kind of did. I mean, you're responsible for 3 of these years, right? Like, it's gotten better. There's no doubt about
I would
that.
say that you're responsible for underachieving in 2 of your 3 seasons, and arguably your first when you didn't beat Michigan State or UCLA.
So Nebraska's 20 Big Ten wins over the last 7 seasons is also third to last in the league. Rutgers has 12. Maryland has 17. Nebraska has 20. Northwestern has 22. Purdue 23. And then you get into the upper 20s sort of from there. But those are the consistent losers of the bunch. Maryland, Rutgers, Nebraska, and Purdue. That's.
And I think the challenge, the thing that people want from Matt Rule is they want this to be a program that's in the upper third of the 18 teams in the Big Ten, and you're not. You're still in the bottom third.
You got a long way to go.
You're fighting to even be at the halfway point.
Long way to go. Would you like to know winning percentages? I guess I calculated those as well. Nebraska's winning percentage in total over the last 7 seasons, excluding 2020, is 40%.
Yeah.
Their conference win percentage is just under 32% in that time. Rutgers, by the way, has won 19% of its conference games over the last seven seasons, excluding 2020. For comparison, Ohio State has won 90% of their conference games. Michigan has won almost 5% of their conference games. Let's see what Indiana came in at. Because Indiana is an interesting case.
Well, yeah,
because they basically haven't lost for 2 years.
So my point would be, if you were doing this with Indiana, you wouldn't go back, 8 years of data.
No, of course you wouldn't.
Because Indiana won the lottery.
However,
and they built into a new neighborhood that after winning the lottery.
I mean, think about it this way. Indiana has what, 14-0 right now.
Mm-hmm.
They went 12-2 last year. So Indiana has as many wins over the last 2 years, like half as many wins as over the last 2 years as Nebraska has had, more than half as Nebraska's had over the last 7.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to be able to, jump up every once in a while. Hasn't happened here.
Waiting for the jump.
Indiana is. Would you say what would you guess Indiana's total record is over this period of time that I'm talking about? 7 seasons.
They had a good 2020. They had a randomly good year in there elsewise. So they had 4 good seasons out of 7 years of data?
7 years of data.
So I don't know what the total record would be.
Above or below 500?
I think they're slightly above.
48-41.
Yeah. Well, that's more than slightly.
Yeah. 54%.
I mean, it helps when you have 26 wins in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a very different picture. But
I mean, in previous years, 26 wins is 2 undefeated years back to back, or, essentially.
Joe writes in on Twitter. He says, the better question is what schools are paying more in NIL than Nebraska? I'd say for sure Ohio State, Michigan, and Oregon. I'd imagine Nebraska's in the same tier as, say, Penn State or USC. Not much return on investment.
Here's
people do the return on investment thing. I just like
Nebraska, whatever money they're spending, they're still underachieving. So we have the 2 conversations of Nebraska's not spending enough in NIL.
I know.
Well, who's going to give more money when they're already not winning with what they have?
He's hitting it from the perspective of like, why are you spending all this money when you still suck? Yeah.
No, I mean that's fair. Like, it's a part of this era that's difficult to live with, and Creighton fans are going through it right now, is you have a roster that you spend money on and it's not good. And then you look next door and there's a roster that spent a lot less money and they're undefeated. Like, that's hard to justify.
It's just a good lesson that you have to
it's more than just,
you have to have a base underneath
money.
you before you win.
It's money, but Joey McGuire matters at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Because he's maximizing his players, and he was doing that before the oodles of money came in to help out.
You can't. I mean, for like the money and the significant investments into these programs, like you can elevate, you can make a jump, but you still have to be good at football.
Yeah.
Like Nebraska doesn't do the requisite football stuff.
It's money for Miami, but they still have an identity of we're going to go,
Yeah.
beat you up in the trenches, and that's where our money is largely going to go. And then we're going to spend way too much on Carson Beck, but that's a different conversation.
And they've always been, right in the hotbed of talent.
Sure.
Miami has always been sort of an outlier in college football, but
you would have to ask someone.
They can come and go fast.
This would be a great question for Severe or someone that cared about college football and is older than us. But like outside of Jimmy Johnson, hasn't Miami largely won when they haven't had like their head coaches have not necessarily been the reason that they're winning?
Correct.
They don't win because of schematics. They win because of talent.
They have a chance to be the first ever program to win a national championship under 5 different coaches on Monday.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
You name them all?
If I had my blue bloods chart out, Dennis Erickson,
1,
Jimmy Johnson,
2.
The old guy.
I'll give it to you.
What
if
is
you
his
can't
name?
Get past it.
What is his name?
Schnellenberger.
Howard Schnellenberger.
So I'm going to give you that one. Can you name the championship coach?
Larry Coker.
There you go. You got it.
Yeah.
Very good.
And now it would be
If we're assuming
Mario
we're giving
Cristobal.
you the old guy.
Yeah.
I don't think you were getting there.
And the old guy.
I don't think he was that old in 82.
But he always, in my mind, he always looked like an old guy.
Yeah. He gave me an hour of his time when I was a student and just called him up. And Nebraska played Florida Atlantic.
That's nice.
And he just talked to me. And he told me stories for an hour.
That's nice.
And he's just sitting in his office. And I was like, at one point, I was like, hey, I got everything I need. And he's like, yeah, but I'm enjoying this. It was great.
That's great.
I have nothing but
Schaefer,
good things to say about Howard Schnellenberger.
That one time that Mike Schaefer talked on the phone with Howard Schnellenberger
It was amazing.
for an hour.
I was like 22 years old and could not believe this.
That's fantastic. That's great. All right. Any thoughts on that? We'll take it. I don't know that we officially decided what neighborhood they're in.
I think they're in the Minnesota neighborhood. You think they're in the Maryland neighborhood?
I don't know what. It's a bad neighborhood.
Are they the? Do you think they're the people that bought the spec home in a neighborhood that nobody else built in?
Yeah. Where I thought everybody else was supposed to join us. What happened?
And then you realize that it's bad grade and that there's going to be real
crap in the water,
sewage issues and runoff problems.
Something like that. All right. Your thoughts. We will have those on the other side. We have plenty more to come. It is Friday on Happer Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. All right, this is good and right up our alley. Thank you for sending in this tweet, Sam, who tweets at Happer Schaefer on Twitter. Said, thought I'd digress to your fast food takes from yesterday. Because I was talking about Arby's and how I just go to Arby's and I just trust them for some reason. But Sam says, if I had never listened to you and saw each of you for the first time on looks alone, your favorite fast food items would be these. Schaefer, a Big Montana.
Never had a Big Montana.
Me, Hush Puppies or crisp meat.
Only if it's a crisp meat crab rangoon.
Like at Amigos.
Yeah.
So there's no meat inside the crab rangoon burrito.
There's no crab in there?
I guess maybe. But it's mostly just like the cream cheese and
Sure.
like the mixture.
I always just
that they
assume
fill
there's
it
at
up
least
with.
imitation crab in it.
I think it's like, I think one of the reasons they do it is during Lent.
Yeah.
And so there's not meat.
Oh, I just assume crab is you're going to get some meat with the crab.
Meat or maybe there's some sort
imitation
of
crab or
specific
something
rule
like
or
that.
something like that in there. Like it's not like there's lumps of it
Gotcha.
in there or anything like that. But I do love a crab rangoon burrito from, even though weirdly Amigos they call their stuff burritos, but it's just like it's just taquito. You know, it's not as abhorrent as it sounds.
Yeah.
A crab rangoon burrito. Where's a Big Montana from?
That's an Arby's.
Is that an Arby's thing?
I don't think they still do it, but when everything was in supersize mode in the 90s, they came out with a massive roast beef that was called the Big Montana. Never had it.
You should take a selfie with one.
Yeah, and send it to Sam.
Say, I am Big Montana. Maybe that's your new nickname. We're looking for a new nickname for you.
I'm not looking for that. No, I don't want to be known as Big Montana.
All right. That's your call. Joel,
it is, and I've stated my opinion and preference for it.
Joel writes in on the topic at hand from before. He says they're in Maryland and Northwestern's neighborhood. PJ Fleck is 7-1 against Nebraska. You can't claim to be in Minnesota's neighborhood when they're your slumlord.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I'm not looking at this from Scott Frost data, so because it's just not relevant to me and what the question was. That's not how I viewed it. I understood why you went back that way. I guess in that sense, they would be 0-2 against PJ Fleck. I'm just looking at it when you go by their total numbers, there's a very little difference in what Minnesota has done, and it's perceived as they've either maximized or overachieved. And I think Nebraska's gotten to a very similar result by underachieving.
Yeah.
So,
but that matters. Like, I mean, I don't know, that really dictates how your fan base feels, how your program
I'm just saying,
feels.
like,
in
if you're
general.
going off the neighborhood thing, there's people in your neighborhood that are there because,
like, I don't think Nebraska just gets to be. I don't think you're saying this, but like, if they're in the same, if they are quote unquote in the same neighborhood and one program is maximizing and the other program is minimizing, I like the other program. I like the maximizing.
I'm not saying you should feel good about Nebraska
Right.
being comparable to Minnesota. This is not like a compliment. You know,
I don't know. Yeah.
You're not going up to someone and you're like, hey, you've underachieved all your life and that guy's overachieved and you're the same. You're in the same territory, but it doesn't mean that you got there the same way and that you should feel the same way about either.
Right.
Like Nebraska it's an underachieving program. Like that's what they are. Even right now, where it's better than what it was, it's still not anywhere where it should be. And people shouldn't feel good about that. You know, and Matt Rule on that show the other day saying that they've gotten to a level of respectability. Yeah, absolutely. When compared to what you recent history, I can go along with that. But no one is over here saying, you know, I'm just happy with going 6-6 and losing in November every year and giving games away all the time and not feeling like this program is really moving forward in any kind of direction over 3 years.
Right.
So I guess like there's a part of me that, you know, would love for him to just come out and say like, this isn't where I want to be. And he does when he say he wants to get to dominance, but there's a pretty big step between what you are right now and dominance. And that's just being one of the better teams in the Big Ten. You can't. Iowa would love to be a dominance. They're not a dominance. Nebraska would love to be where Iowa is right now, and nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah, I feel like when he talks about dominance, I'm like, all right, well, we got to skip like a bunch of steps to get there to get to that point. I just want him.
That's why I don't really care about like what other
year.
programs are spending in NIL, because Nebraska is spending what they are, and it still isn't resulting in more wins.
Yeah. John writes in. He says Nebraska is not comparable to Minnesota. The Gophers are far and away the better organization. Yeah, Schaefer's just saying from like a win-loss perspective.
I don't like. People are so caught up in how it feels that Minnesota has an 8-5 record and Nebraska has a 7-6 record, and I'm over here like it's a 1-game difference. Like, what are we? Okay, yes, they have significantly less to work with. The reason they're in the same neighborhood is Nebraska keeps stubbing its toe, and Minnesota avoids that to a degree, but not that much that, if you're a Minnesota fan, you're not excited about being in the same neighborhood as Nebraska, because you should be doing better when you went 11-2 a few years ago and you've gotten nowhere near that.
Yeah, but that's what people are saying. They're just saying that they're not in the same neighborhood as Nebraska. They're saying that they're a step above. Minnesota's a step above.
I don't think they are. I think it's largely very comparable, because I think PJ Fleck has plateaued, and I'm afraid that's where Nebraska finds itself.
So we can continue that discussion if you guys have any more thoughts on it. I want to get to, we'll have our NFL playoff predictions coming up in just a little while. Joey's headlines coming up here in just a couple minutes, but I wanted to bring this up. We haven't talked basketball yet today on the show. We've been mostly big picture football stuff. This comes from Ryan Hammer, who is covering college basketball, mostly just on the internet. But these graphs come out every once in a while. These charts come out, and I always like looking at them, because speaking of our previous topic, Schaefer, you kind of get to see the neighborhood a bit that you're in.
The half season neighborhood.
So this is on your I always get these confused. On your x-axis, your vertical axis, it is that right, by the way? X is vertical.
Yeah, I think that's right.
X is horizontal, I think, and Y is vertical.
Either way, on one of your
Thank you, Joey.
On one of your axes,
we're not math people. I can't speak for Happer.
It's been forever. I think it's that way.
On one of your axes, it is game-to-game volatility. On the other one, it is team predictive efficiency rating. And so,
Joey was correct.
Good job, Joey. Excellent job. So Y is the vertical, and X is the horizontal one. That would be team predictive efficiency rating. If you're watching along with us on YouTube, you are seeing this instead of having me try to explain it, which is obviously going horribly at this point. So what you want to be is low volatility game to game, which I don't feel like Nebraska is. They ranked quite a lot higher in terms of volatility than I thought they would be on this chart. But it's good to sort of see it. And I think most of the variance obviously comes from offense. Their defense has been remarkably, I think, consistent this year. And then the predictive sort of efficiency rating, and that's just based off of, what you've done so far on some of the efficiency metrics. As you could see, the two best teams in the country, if you're watching along with us on YouTube, the two best teams in the country so far this year in this specific metric has been UConn and Arizona. No surprise, UConn's been pretty dominant. Arizona has literally not lost a game yet. And then you get to some of your more high-performing teams in the country, of which Nebraska is one of them, but they are considered to be a little bit more volatile in the same neighborhood as Texas Tech, St. John's, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas. And so the label that is put on Nebraska is deep run potential, but not national champs, which I feel like sits quite well with basically everybody. Nebraska indeed does have deep run potential, and probably isn't going to win the national championship.
Yeah, look, sign me up. Sign me up for the deep run potential. Oh no, they didn't win a national title.
So this isn't so much about the label as it is about
just showing how well they're playing.
Well, I wanted to talk about the volatility part a little bit. I don't feel like they're very volatile. I feel like they vacillate offensively between okay and awesome, and that's where your volatility comes from.
Sure.
Defensively, it's been pretty consistent all the way. Like you pretty much know what you're going to get. I would imagine they probably get dinged in that category a little bit just because they don't have like superior rim protection or anything like that. Although they limit 2-point shots very well because of their defensive style and things like that. But I think that's the volatility that's baked into Nebraska. But I don't at all look at them and say, oh, I don't know what I'm going to get from them on a game-to-game basis, which is a very, very, very portable thing as it pertains to winning in the NCAA tournament, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're going to advance deep into the NCAA tournament, I think you kind of have to know what people are going to expect out of you, or you just have to get absurdly hot for a 2-week stretch, which is hard.
If I'm looking at this correctly, would you say that Nebraska is less or more volatile than the current Kansas team? Like, am I reading this correctly?
Where is Kansas on here? Oh, there they are down there. Yeah, I guess I have.
That's why I don't know that I accept the chart that much, because Kansas has had some wild swings.
Yeah, I mean, obviously beating Iowa State the other night was pretty big.
And they had a miraculous comeback against TCU. And maybe I'm just conflating last year's Kansas and this year's Kansas. But I guess a little bit sort of questioning what Kansas is at this point in time.
Yeah, looks like they've had like 2 or 3 stinkers, just total stinkers offensively, but generally pretty consistent. And then defensively is sort of the same story. But I mean, like it doesn't tell you the quality of the teams, because the quality of the teams is completely different. Like Kansas has lost 5 out of their last 6, and they're like their metrics are in the 50s and 60s. Like Nebraska is at a completely different neighborhood at this point. But we're just talking about the volatility.
Sure. The other thing that fascinates me when we get into the metrics conversation with college basketball is how much Nebraska's dinged for games that don't matter. Like they didn't play particularly well in the games that everybody in this sort of chart is winning. And it's wild, because I think if you only did games against high majors, Nebraska's everything would look significantly better, which is just not how it's supposed to work at all, right?
Right.
So it's part of
that's just because I think that is a testament to their consistency.
Sure. Right. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's what is, when we get into these conversations and you listen to people that haven't watched that much Nebraska basketball go on and on about the metrics. That's what's always wild to me personally, is I don't really care.
I'm sorry. Yeah. But by the way, what I said earlier about Kansas is not, they are not that bad in the metrics. They are good in the metrics. They're certainly not in the 50s and 60s. They've only lost 2 out of their last 4, by the way.
When you said that, I was like, well, I know they beat TCU and they beat Iowa State.
I was looking at the wrong thing.
Anyways, I just don't I don't really care that Nebraska had a rough game against South Carolina upstate relative to how they played against New Mexico or even Kansas State, who's not a tournament team.
Mm-hmm.
Or, so I just feel like there's this weird part of this conversation in college basketball that's funny to me, because Nebraska's really never a part of it. But now it's like, well, yeah, they're undefeated, but Vanderbilt did a much better job at beating those other teams, but has a lot less quality of win overall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of that stuff just straightens out over time.
Yeah.
Right. Like the predictive metrics are starting to come around on Nebraska.
Which is also when people have the conversation of, oh, well, Vegas doesn't very clearly value them. And it's like, well, yeah, but they keep beating Vegas's number. So what am I supposed to do?
It's coming around.
That?
It's coming around right now. Like,
and it's the same thing from 2017-18, where Nebraska was perceived to be lesser than because they beat a bunch of teams that were 250 plus instead of beating a bunch of teams that were 200 plus.
Yeah.
I mean, really, we shouldn't care about that data as much.
No, but only if you have the resume that Nebraska has right now, which is they had a weak non-conference schedule. That was the knock on them on that other team that you just mentioned.
Right.
But they also didn't have the requisite conference
Sure.
wins for us to be like, oh, well, they're fine.
Because the conference was just
this
sort of
time they
average
do,
that year.
and they're
Yeah.
literally undefeated.
Right.
So
No.
that's not,
I'm not trying to say that this team in 2017-18 are comparable. I'm saying that the conversation about non-conference 250 plus or 200 plus is dumb to me and will always be dumb.
Probably.
Those games are inconsequential in every single way unless you lose one. And if you don't, why would we talk about it? Because the teams that are supposed to be good, you should always win those games.
It's going to hurt you
So
automatically.
favoring the idea that you beat someone that's 50 spots better in the 200s I don't get it.
But once again, we're 17 games into the season, and you've played a game against West Georgia. You've played a game against Maryland Eastern Shore. You've played a game against USC Upstate. That's 3 out of your 17 games, right? Like, so I'm just saying it will correct as you get into 20, 25, 30 games. Like, it's not a concern. It doesn't, it dings every other team too.
Yeah, to a point, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think there's a reason that we should care that much
I see what you're saying
about the quality of non-conference schedule when what we're really arguing is whether beating the 200th team or the 275th team matters that much. The answer should be no.
It should be.
That's all I'm getting.
I'm with you. All right, let's take a break. We will get to the headlines with Joey coming up next. Okay, headlines. Before we jump into the 8 o'clock hour, and don't forget, we have a very special Omaha Storm Chasers announcement coming up at 9 o'clock today. So stay tuned for that. We'll make our NFL picks coming up in the 8 o'clock hour as well. Joey, headlines. What do we got?
Okay, the first one's out of Rio de Janeiro.
All right.
Animals at the Rio Biopark Zoo received popsicles and frozen treats Tuesday as this is another day of extreme heat during Brazil's summer. People forget Brazil is always hot. It's around the equator. Anyway,
Nice.
jaguars, monkeys, and other animals were given an ice diet prepared according to each species' needs. Zoo officials said some received frozen fruit, while others were offered mixtures containing frozen blood.
Frozen blood?
I never heard of that.
Frozen blood popsicles?
I would like to see what the Omaha Zoo does in response when it's really hot here.
Dude, it
in
is.
August.
Scorching heat in this summer.
I mean, they should give me a popsicle when I go to the zoo.
Oh, the zoo should give people that attend popsicles for being there.
Yeah.
Like just going through.
Dude, it's so hot. And you have to walk 800 miles,
Yeah.
Around the zoo. I should get a popsicle in return.
Now that I live in Omaha with a child, I have to make the decision if we're going to get like a zoo pass.
The zoo membership is pretty sweet. I got to admit, even though admittedly we don't take full advantage of
You
it.
only have to go, I think the math on
It's
it
like
is
twice.
yeah.
Twice or 3 times.
I think it's 3.
And it's so, I don't know. I like the freedom and the ability to just go.
Yeah.
I haven't gone over there in the last couple of years. Every year I've gone there, there's always a construction project they've been doing.
There's always something going on.
I've only been to the zoo 4 times in my life.
Wow.
Ooh.
As
now that you're in
as
Omaha,
a previously non-Omaha native, I went
were
once,
you a Lincoln Zoo guy.
once or twice for school, and then I think another 2 times as an adult.
Now that you're in Omaha, man, I think it'd be a great idea for you to get a zoo pass.
Look, I like the zoo. I don't have to sell me on the zoo. It's other members of the committee of the household.
And then when it gets hot, like it did in Rio de Janeiro, you could just be like everybody else and go inside the aquarium.
The Rainforest Cafe.
The rainforest is like it's like a little bit of a reprieve.
That's the name of their where you can get food. It's called the Rainforest Cafe, I think.
Is it?
I thought it was.
I thought the Rainforest Cafe was already a thing, like
talking over at the jungle at the zoo or at
at the jungle. Yeah, the lead jungle.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just what I thought it was called.
But you know what I'm saying, right? The
that.
Rainforest Cafe is already like a national chain brand.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, it might be. I don't know.
It is.
Yeah, well,
But
I
I don't
thought
know
that's what they also had for the cafeteria.
It's
style
possible.
food thing. Too.
It's possible. But I never eat there. I never eat at the zoo. I always eat pre-zoo or post-zoo.
Probably smart from a financial.
But wanted to finish up this story. So a group of monkeys were handed watermelon popsicles by zookeepers. A jaguar tried to fish out ground chicken popsicles from a tray that floated in its water tank.
Wow. Ground chicken popsicle. Interested?
That'd be interesting. But temperatures rose over 40 degrees Celsius in Rio, which is 104 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty hot over
That's
there.
toasty.
It's very toasty.
I wouldn't do well in those kind of temperatures. I am not built for that.
No, I don't.
I love the cold weather.
Really? You're a cold weather guy?
Well, it's comfortable.
Comparatively.
Comparatively, yeah. I'm more suitable to that than extreme heat.
I'm in the similar boat.
Well, good to stick with the animals here. Florida deputy lassos a runaway emu. So a 25-year veteran of a Florida police department experienced a career first when a loose animal was called, and it resulted him handcuffing an emu. There's a video out there of the pursuit on a street, and they ended up going towards someone's fence. The guy lassoed the emu to the fence and then handcuffs the legs, so it's just staying there, and just to prevent the emu from retaliating the police officer. Those animals are pretty big, I would tell you.
6 feet tall. They have, according to the AP story, they have soft brown feathers, a long neck, and long legs, which allow them to sprint up to 30 miles an hour. Would you be able to lasso an emu, Schaefer?
No,
I wouldn't either.
I struggle to when I've been given an opportunity. The stationary items that you can try to lasso.
Yeah.
not great with like actually throwing and getting the lasso in the direction of where I want it to go.
Right. They look pretty cool though.
Emus?
Yeah, emus are sweet.
Yeah.
You can go to the zoo and see an emu.
There's emu farms over where my parents live in remote Colorado. They just have them all over the place.
Well, I bet they got all sorts of stuff out in remote Colorado.
They,
I mean, if people need a
famously-
visual image, Liberty Mutual.
Yeah,
right?
they got the Limu emu.
They famously have the Happy Gilmore alligator at a crocodile place out in 10,000 feet of elevation.
The alligator from Happy Gilmore.
Well, it's dead. They still have the signs out there, but I think it's stuff.
Oh wow! But it was that one though.
Yeah, it was that
Wow.
one. They claimed to say. I have a picture on my.
Did it
Twitter.
actually lose its eye?
We did not go over there. We did.
You had this opportunity, but you did not investigate further.
I think they were overcharging people just to see crocodiles in isolated
Did they have
Colorado.
Okay.
what do they call that? Provenance to explain that it is actually that alligator is, anyone can just claim that they have that alligator.
That's true. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit of that action. Anyway, one more, Joey. Hit us.
Well, Mike, if the computer can help me, there was a goat detained for trying to break into a retirement community. So police were called into a retirement home in Washington on Sunday that resulted, there was a report of a goat attempting to break into the facility. The Auburn Police Department said on social media that officers arrived at Wesley Homes to find a goat was attempting to gain entry into the building. So the officers safely detained the suspect until a friend of the owner arrived to pick her up. The goat is named Ruby, posed for a photo with the officers before being taken home. Charges were dropped due to extreme adorableness.
Wow. Well, we have a lot of animal stories today on the.
And yesterday, there's a lot of animals just trying to get inside, from what I understand.
I guess-
Bears trying to live in crawl spaces. Goats want to be in retirement communities.
There's a lot of negative when you look out there these days, but the animals could always bring a positive light to our lives.
Unless the cops have to be called.
Unless the
and
cops have to be
situation
called.
goes awry.
But usually everything works out okay. Arrested due to cuteness.
does.
Amazing. All right. Thank you, Joey.
Yeah.
Those are the headlines. We'll come back. 8 o'clock hour is up next on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Happy Friday. Happer Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Just an hour away from the old Zone deal going on sale, which this week is Langfeld Overhead Doors. Get a $600 LiftMaster Garage Opener for just $300. That is at 91620thezone.com. Also, one more thing on online contests. Chris Stapleton, October 7th at Pinnacle Bank Arena. That is the All-American Road Show Tour featuring Nikki Lane. We have an online exclusive giveaway for you right now, so go ahead and check that out, 1620thezone.com. We are back here on a Friday. So we mentioned that Nebraska was efforting to get a visitor on campus earlier, so there's your sort of portal headlines. You're still looking into defensive linemen this week. The final day to enter the portal is today. Once again, just the final day to enter the portal is today. There will be
and there might be names that pop up a little bit because just the way the paperwork works.
There will sort of be activity all throughout the weekend, and then continue to be visitors and things like this. And I'm genuinely not trying to jinx anything here. I understand, it might sound like
unlike
this.
other things you've been trying to jinx all week.
Like Nebraska basketball definitely going to win an NCAA tournament game.
Jinxing.
That will definitely happen. Nebraska appears to have actually made it through the entire portal cycle without losing Ja'Cory Barney, Isaiah Hunter, that one's confirmed, TJ Lateef, Justin Evans, Elijah Pritchett, Andrew Marshall, Vincent Shavers. None of those guys. I would have put each of them. I don't know who you would add to that list, Schaefer, but I would have put all those guys. Dawson Merritt. Also
Cortez
Mills, like young building blocks, pieces that you're going to have going forward. All of those names probably in the top 10 of, man, I really don't want to lose these guys. And they didn't.
Yeah.
I think that should be mentioned. While this hasn't gone, it hasn't been a particularly rosy last few weeks for Nebraska football here. They haven't had a mass exodus at all. And I feel like that's important.
Yeah. And I mean, there's always the argument to be made that you want to add, but sometimes keeping your best players can be as valuable as what you can bring in to supplement around them.
Yeah, maybe that's where all the money went. People are always they keep saying, hey, I thought Nebraska had all this money and all this different stuff. I'm like, yeah, well, they still have to pay their roster too and retain their roster.
And they're trying to spend at a bunch of different positions, and they clearly have rebuilt their offensive line.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's a great thing because prior to the start of the portal, I would say right around the beginning of bowl practice, there was a lot of concern about Ja'Cory Barney, Vincent Schaefer, all of the Miami guys. There was a big belief that you were going to lose, Shavers,
Barney, I thought for sure.
Barney, I mean, Mills.
I don't know what, just the buzz around him. It just felt like.
The wild thing is Ja'Cory Barney absolutely loves Nebraska.
I know. Yeah.
Absolutely loves Nebraska.
We probably shouldn't even think about it that way.
Because there's a big payday somewhere else, or that, it didn't feel like it was the right fit. But he is someone who, you talk to people over there, and he's just very, very wants to be part of this team when it takes off like a rocket ship. It matters, which is really cool because, you always have that conversation about, well, in current college football, do people care about the front of the jersey? That is a guy that absolutely does.
Yeah.
And so it's great that he's, right now, got to couch it a little bit. Right now, still very much in the fold. We'll see if he's calling Matt Rule to ask him about what was it that you remember this? Matt Rule told this story that Ja'Cory Barney last year called him on the last day of the portal, and he was hesitant to take the phone call because he was going to be.
Oh yeah.
And then it turned out he was asking him how to sear a steak or whatever. It was something like that.
I can't answer this.
Yeah,
he's going to ask me about money, and I don't have it.
Yes, yeah, they didn't. They did not. So. That's exciting. Between adding Gilmer and then you hold on to Hunter and Barney and Mills, there's still, he had the really nice catch in the in the bowl game on the 2-point conversion, and Quinn Clark. That's a guy that I'm excited about from a physical standpoint. He doesn't look like the other players on that roster. I mean, it was mentioned like Janiran Bonner potentially returns next year. That's a guy that I had kind of forgotten about, and I don't want to make too much of it, but having him in short yardage and red zone situations as that H-back would have been helpful. I don't think it flips any particular singular game, but just having him on the field in the red zone, I think would have helped them out.
Yeah, maybe their red zone offense isn't like just completely terrible.
It could have just been marginally terrible.
But mostly bad.
Yeah. And so, I don't want to make it's not like the whole season hinged on Janiran Bonner, but they didn't have anyone that did what he was doing for them.
Yeah.
And so that's a guy that I'm excited to see again next year. You didn't mention him in your list of players, but I've been kind of sitting around wondering, hasn't been what he's dreamed of for the first 2 years. And there was some rumblings at one point in time. What about Carter Nelson?
Oh, good one. Yeah.
And that's a guy that it's a big spring, I feel like, for Carter Nelson. Because
the only reason I didn't include him is because I didn't feel like he was a super high priority at this point, but it's certainly a guy with a high ceiling.
I'll say this, if he goes into the portal, he's getting a ton of activity.
No doubt.
So that's someone that I think it's great that's coming back for another year. So you look at it and it's like, okay, you lost Malcolm Hartzog, you lost Keona Davis, you lost Dylan Raiola. Out of that group, the one that probably hurts the most, is Raiola, but you replaced it with Calandria, and there's all the other subtext of it. Whatever. Throw that one out.
Agreed.
Just throw it out.
Agreed.
It's a weird, different conversation for about a million different reasons.
And it's quarterback.
Yeah. Keona Davis is the one where it kind of hurts. And that's,
probably.
Would you argue?
I mean, it hurts. It hurts just from it's a body that you could relatively count on.
I'll put it this way. I don't think they're
overrated.
getting anyone so far on their defensive line that's better than what they're losing in Keona
I agree with you, but
so you're at a spot where you needed to add and you lost someone that's better than what you're bringing.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Are you losing sleep over it? That's sort of what I'm getting at.
God, no.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that.
Is there anyone that you would have lost sleep over?
Well, no, not me personally.
So maybe a bad example.
Yeah. But anyway, on Davis, I just think he wants to go to the portal 2 years in a row to all right, what do you want? I like whatever.
Good luck.
Yeah. Seriously. He wasn't, I'm not going to chase you because you're not good enough. I would chase Mike Ekeler. I'd be like, please come back. Take I know. Just listen. I would chase a guy like that. I would not chase him. I would not chase him.
How far would you chase Mike Ekeler?
I would chase him to the Pacific Ocean, which is what they might have to do. Yeah.
He's going to live in Jeff Franklin's house.
Yeah. Right in the banks of it.
Speaking of going into the portal 2 years in a row, Prince will.
Yeah.
Do we suspect that there's
that'd be a question for you.
Is he just going to go to LSU because LSU maybe pays a little bit more?
Seems like there's a lot of people just going to LSU at this point.
So that's a big loss for Ole Miss. It was a big loss for Nebraska.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love for Nebraska to get back involved in that situation, but it doesn't feel very likely at this point.
I think he burned bridges before he was out of town, and there's a lot that probably was there with Prince Will that beyond just whatever else. I don't know that there was a lot of possibility of him ever returning.
Sal writes in, he says, getting the Raiola family off our back is a positive. Keona Davis's departure hurts the most. And once again, we're talking about Keona Davis, who was a rotational defensive lineman for you last year.
Well, and you hope that he would be better. I mean, that gets
Obviously,
into the larger conversation.
He's got a higher ceiling,
right?
Sure.
Your defensive line, you had a bunch of guys you liked, they just didn't get better. Now you're hoping with Corey Brown that they will.
Yeah, I think the ceiling on him, not to get after him too much here, but he got talked about in a very different way than we ever saw on the field. The conversation around him was always a little bit louder than the actual play.
Yeah.
So there's that piece of it too. Not to say he doesn't have a high ceiling.
Well, obviously he's going to Miami.
Yeah,
so
go to the portal and he'll get paid. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he's committed there, but he's visiting Miami. So it
seems like he's going to probably end up at Miami. Yeah.
And again, it speaks to everybody valued defensive linemen really highly this year. Every single program in the country was going after more help on the defensive line. Didn't matter if they were the best defense in the country, Texas Tech, they went out and they got defensive line and edge rushing help. So again, like, this isn't to absolve Nebraska. It's to say they have to win in the margins. Like, that's the thing about Nebraska football that has to be where this is going if they're ever going to be good again. They have to figure out how to win in the margins, because for every year it's, well, they got to go get these guys out of the portal. Well, everybody's trying to get them.
Yep.
So what about Nebraska is different other than if you can throw a bunch of money, which if you have to fix all these other holes. And we just talked about how much spending on Dylan Raiola affected your ability to do other things.
You have to be able to minimize your urgency in the portal as much as you can. And
you have to scheme or develop your own players
correct.
on your defense.
That's the way to do it. And like, to give Nebraska credit, like I just said at the start of the segment, they have been able to retain all of these guys. They have to make something out of them, but at least they are able to retain them. And that's what I said before. Like, feels like that's where the money went.
Yeah. Well, some of it. And that's kind of how it felt last year too, is to keep some of those guys out, or to keep Emmett Johnson, or to keep, Keona Davis, or whatever it was. Now, the next part of it is great that Isaiah Hunter is back. I want more. And whether that's him, Daikio Shorts, Anthony Calandria, my friend Dana Holgerson, I need more out of Isaiah Hunter when he's talked about as that was our number one get last year. That's who Matt Rule circled in Penn. We want this guy, most explosive wide receiver in the portal. And we saw explosion at times. We never saw consistency. We never saw an offense that wasn't built around throwing wide receiver screens to him effectively. I want more out of Isaiah Hunter, and that's on the coaching staff to make that happen.
Yeah, it's also on the quarterback to be able to actually just throw the ball, because I always felt like he was a pretty guy, a guy who is capable of winning one-on-ones.
Yeah, give him the 50-50.
Never really got the opportunity as consistently as I wanted him to. Calandria is going to give him that opportunity, as we see. He'll put it in harm's way, and let his.
I would also just point out it didn't get better when it wasn't Dylan. So it's not
definitely
like,
not. Yeah,
there is that part of that conversation.
Latif was, they were pretty conservative with him as well,
and he was just swimming in it.
Right. And so you have a different kind of quarterback. So in theory, that changes too. But I agree with you. Hunter's a pretty good player, and he's got to find a way to take a step up, and they got to find a way to get him involved in the offense a little bit more. All right. Let's take a quick timeout. We'll be back. Our NFL picks for this weekend coming up next on 1620 The Zone. But first, a word from our friends at Underdog Fantasy, where the football playoffs are indeed coming right now. Underdog is the best place to get in on all the gridiron action. You can make picks and win money right now in Nebraska. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick if your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, and more. Get those right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. So take a look at this weekend, or just wait. Listen to when we talk about the NFL coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Then you go straight to the Underdog app and you make your higher or lower picks from there. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today and use promo code HAPPER1620 to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Promo code HAPPER1620. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 19 plus and present in Nebraska. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/playing good terms _DFS_.html for details. Concern with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. A couple follow-up questions to our previous segment there before we get to our NFL stuff for this weekend. John texts in. He says, how many of the retained players were retained because they didn't have any other schools that wanted them? Of those players that we mentioned, the markets on those guys would have been pretty good.
Yeah.
I
don't know that we mentioned anybody that wouldn't have had a Power 4 equivalent.
Yeah. Yeah. All those players. So what do we said? Barney, Hunter. We threw in Latif, who I guess is mildly debatable.
He would have been a Power 4 backup.
Probably, yeah.
Just like he is now.
Evans,
it wouldn't have been a worse situation.
Pritchett, Marshall, Shavers, and then who else did you mention? Nelson. And was there another one? I think that's probably.
I said Dawson Merritt. Cortez Mills.
Which
I promise you, both of those guys were approached to leave.
Yeah. So all those guys would end up at another Power 4 school. Certainly.
Yeah. There's sometimes this like want or desire to pretend like the players Nebraska has wouldn't be regarded in the portal. And again, I would point you to the fact that Keona Davis is visiting Miami.
There's also quite the history at this point of Nebraska players not reaching their potential. And I think other people see that and they're like, oh, well, you go into our system and you could be good right away. Like, bang, done, So I think that's been realized out there for sure. Okay. I thought there was another one that I wanted to. Oh yeah. Rules. We probably don't need to read the rules comments.
He's working through it.
How tall is Anthony Calandria?
He says 5'9".
I don't believe he's 5'9".
I think he's listed at 6'1".
Yeah. He's a smaller guy for sure. Rules says Calandria 5'9", turnover prone. Sounds like a Big Ten quarterback. He'll get smashed in the Big Ten. Seems weird. 2/3 quarterbacks couldn't make it at Virginia, but will thrive in the Big Ten. ... Okay. Hey, look, I'm not telling you he's going to thrive. I'm just excited about his style. I'm excited about the possibility of what it could be. I am under I'm trying to carve out paths and ways that it works. But I'm not gonna tell you.
Happer just wants the sheer entertainment of he could do anything.
Absolutely. I think that's going to be a huge boost to the offense. Yeah. I know that I know that the inconsistency of that sounds scary and weird, but I'm sick of quarterbacks being risk averse.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
I don't share the same general feeling, but with how Nebraska is building stuff, I think the quarterback run game is certainly.
You want your quarterbacks in a nice little bubble. Just protect them.
No, I want them to just distribute the ball.
Just distribute the ball.
Yeah, distribute the ball, get the ball out. You want the guy running around.
Yeah,
playing like it's a backyard football game.
I think it'd be great if that happened too. In theory, if they could throw 20 touchdowns and 4 picks or something like that. But
the 4 picks is where the problem comes in here.
Exactly.
If it's 4, if that's the ratio, I think everyone would sign up.
Everybody would do that.
To the 5 touchdowns to 1 interception.
But if I'm already turning the ball over, why not turn the ball over a few more times to get some explosiveness on offense?
Yeah, look, I hope there's explosiveness. That taps right into what I would like to see more of. I think it has as much to do with the guy that's still here as it does with the one that left.
Yeah, maybe it does. We will certainly dive into that plenty. All throughout the summer. Yeah, from the 531 texture says, if we're going to be bad, we might as well be entertaining. Exactly. That's pretty much my thoughts. Pretty much where I'm at. All right. Let's go to the NFL. A thing that we are very excited for this weekend. We're going to make some picks. We're going to talk about these individual games. The 6th seed in the AFC is the Buffalo Bills. They visit the 1 seed Denver Broncos, who this line has been a little sporadic over the last couple of days. I believe
at one point it was Bills 1.5.
We have settled in at Denver 1.5.
So it's flipped back again.
It has flipped back over, and so we'll lock this in now. Saturday 3:30 on CBS. Mike Schaefer, what do we think?
I would like, as I have said all along, I want a Buffalo Bills Super Bowl. I want Josh Allen involved for as long as he can be. on my Sundays, even though this is Saturday, but just go with it.
Yeah, it'll be Sunday.
I think the Broncos win. I think they're the better team. They've been the better team all year. They've been a top 5 team all season. And outside of one really, really bad game against Jacksonville, they've been tough to beat this year. And their other losses have included the really weird one against the Colts and a 3-point loss to the Chargers. So
the challenge for Denver is when they give up more than like a couple touchdowns because their offense is not capable of running it up really into the 20s very much. They play with
true.
Yeah, if you look at their schedule,
I feel like they've been in weird shootout games more than I would expect for how good that defense is.
Definitely a few.
Yeah.
But the games that they have, wow, why do I have this part of it up? The games I pull up the wrong website every time. The games that they have lost, they lost 30-24 to Jacksonville. Like we said, they lost.
Was it really only 30-24?
They lost 23-20 to the Chargers.
And then like 29-28.
And then what was it was week 1, right? No.
I think it was week 2.
Week 2, 29-28. But we're talking about like these wins are in the low 20s. We've seen a 10-7. We've seen a 22-19, 24-17, right? Like 19-3, obviously. A 20 to
yeah,
20
they grind
13.
teams out,
right? And so I just feel like Buffalo's good for, and by Buffalo I mean Josh Allen is good for getting into the 20s.
Yeah,
I think they're going to get there. It's just like Denver's going to control pace and keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hand, but in the opportunities where he's got the ball, I think he's going to have a chance. I'm going to take the Bills. It's a heart pick, but it's like it's right here.
Yeah, look, I want you to be right.
It's in my heart.
No offense to the Broncos fans. I'm fine with Denver. I'm not one of the afternoon hosts or whatever that has been crapping on them all year and just continues to do so.
Wow.
Yeah, Josh really just doesn't believe in Denver.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole Bo Nix thing, which I don't totally trust either.
Right.
So yeah, just give me. I feel like we're destined for a Buffalo at least conference championship game. And that's where we're headed.
That's what I want. I just think Denver's the better overall team. I think that their defense will come to play with the week off. I think I wonder if you can survive where your second best wide receiver is Brandon Cooks, who you just added a few weeks ago. He's looked great. I like Brandon Cooks.
It is thin.
But it just, are you going to be able to throw the ball to Shakur 12 times?
That's
for
what they do.
Yards?
That's what they do.
And so if they get James Cook going, if James Cook can run on Denver's defense, Buffalo's chances of winning goes way up. I just think the Broncos are the better team, and so I will take the Broncos.
Joey?
I think it's going to go down to the quarterback and which one I trust the most. Obviously, Josh Allen with the experience.
We have a winner.
I haven't really I haven't really seen a whole lot out of Bo Nix on this season. He's won some big games, but there's several games this season where they haven't won comfortably. And that's why I kind of want to trust Josh Allen. Even he's been facing adversity with a very bad defense. He's still finding ways to win them.
2 Josh Allen pick. That's what it sounds like, right? You're going Buffalo?
I'm going with Buffalo.
2 for Josh Allen.
I'll be on the island.
You could go either way with this one. Obviously, it's going to be very close with a 1.5 spread there. But I made a pact to myself at the beginning of these playoffs. I go, if it's close, because we have such good defenses across the board, if it's close, I'm taking the quarterback. And that's what I'm doing in this game. Saturday night on Fox, 7 o'clock, is the San Francisco 49ers visiting the Seattle Seahawks, who are I'll get an updated line on this. I don't think it's changed, though. Yeah, 7-point favorite. Now, what we should mention is there is a little bit of Sam Darnold injury buzz here. He was placed on the on the injury report yesterday with a questionable tag. One could only assume that he is going to play, but there is the chance, of course, that he's not in this game, which only adds to all these different narratives. But all right, Schaefer, what do you think?
I like Seattle here. Their defense is tremendous. I think they're the best team in the NFL. I am worried about the Sam Darnold injury and how that affects things for them offensively. I don't love that these teams just played in week 18.
Yep.
And so, whenever that happens, I tend to think that the team that lost, maybe there's something there. But Seattle's defense was so dominant in that game. You go back and you look, Brock Purdy was averaging 4.7 yards on his passes. He threw for 127 yards and an interception on 27 attempts. They could not push the ball downfield. You don't have George Kittle anymore.
Right.
They don't have Fred Warner. They are a beat up team. I think they have gotten as far as they can get. I think it is a hats off to you, San Francisco situation. I think Seattle, even with the oblique situation for Sam Darnold, I think they've been able to run the ball better. They ran the ball on San Francisco that night, and I think they will do it again on Saturday. I'm taking the Seahawks
to cover.
What's the line again?
7.
I'll take them to cover. I think it's an ugly game, like sort of what we had previously 2 weeks ago on a Saturday.
Yeah, I just think like how many times will Christian McCaffrey touch the ball? The limit does not exist. Because you're going to have to pass to him quite a lot, and you're going to have to. But the last time these two teams played a couple weeks ago in Week 18, Christian McCaffrey ran for just 23 yards in that game, and it was
only 8 carries,
right,
and only 14 total touches because they couldn't sustain drive.
Correct. So that is the goal for them again. I think they get a little bit more going on offense, and I'm definitely worried about Seattle as far as the whole Darnold of it all and all that.
Darnold of it all.
But you're right. I mean, they're just so beat up that it's really hard. I am going to take the Niners to cover this.
You're splitting it, Seattle to win, Niners to cover?
I think so. Begrudgingly so. Because I don't believe in Seattle as a real legit Super Bowl contender.
Entirely because of Darnold?
Mostly
because every other part of that team, they have an elite receiver.
I know. Mostly because of Darnold, and they're going to end up in the NFC Championship game.
This is a very hard pick for me because since Kyle Shanahan's been the 49ers head coach, whenever they're in the playoffs, they are at least in the NFC Championship game. He coaches well in the NFC playoffs. But you mentioned all these injuries. You got George Kittle with the season-ending injury. The defense is all banged up. Then now we got Sam Darnold with the oblique issue. I have a hard time trusting both teams, but since this is in Seattle, their rushing attack is really good. They have a great defense. I'm going to pick Seattle to win by a field goal. I think Kyle Shanahan will give Seattle headaches, but Seattle's going to win on a game-ending field goal.
Seattle
win cover, win in 49ers cover.
Correct.
Okay.
You got it.
Yep, and win in 49ers cover.
The games on Sunday starting at 2:00. The Texans are the 5 seed in the AFC. They go to New England, who's a 3-point favorite. Can New England make it all the way to the AFC Championship game without playing anyone? That is the question that people are asking about. I know that's the narrative.
Texans don't count as anyone?
It's just a joke.
Oh.
Their defense is something.
Just a joke. That's the narrative on New England, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm taking Houston to win. I think they go in there and they play outstanding defense, better so than New England, and just get enough done on offense with their run game, and Stroud makes a couple throws. Like, I think that's the story. So I think Houston out of nowhere, who's been playing as good a defense as I've seen in a long, long time, they go in there and obviously they go and win the game.
I agree. Houston is my pick here as well. I think their defense will have Drake May struggling a little bit. I think it's one of these super wonky games. We've seen it from a D'Amico Ryans team before. Now, he was the defensive coordinator when a limited 49ers team just stifled Aaron Rodgers at home in a game that Joey doesn't want to recall from a few years ago.
People forget.
And I think that's what we're going to get here as well. Of everything in this game, I like Houston's defense the most.
Yep.
And that is why I am picking them.
Same.
Also, if you play, playoff fantasy, I think it could be a good week to put Woody Marks in your lineup.
I love Woody Marks.
So I will have Woody Marks in my lineup.
Maybe you could check out some hires for him on Underdog.
Oh, well, there you go.
Maybe do that. Joey?
This is a prove me game for both of these quarterbacks. I'm going to pick Houston because I think they are going to force more takeaways.
I was going to be an island. You start with Houston. Joey finishes with Houston. Everyone loves Houston.
This is a big island.
I think Houston's going to force more turnovers than the Patriots, and I think it's going to come down to takeaways in this game. Both quarterbacks have really been struggling against some of the elite teams, and you mentioned the Patriots' schedule is atrocious. They haven't really played a whole lot of contending teams. it's going to be interesting to see how many points we're going to have. But I think the Texans are going to win probably something like 13-6.
I was going to say, spoiler alert, not very many.
It's going to be a defensive touchdown probably.
No
I
doubt.
think we're going to see something like that.
The game?
No offensive touchdowns.
No offensive touchdowns. Now that's a bold prediction.
Yeah, I like that.
It's going to be a low-scoring game, and I think Houston's defense is going to score again in the playoffs.
Okay. All right. Low possession, that's for sure. And on Sunday evening, love that this starts at 5:30, by the way, for our new sleep habits here here on Happer and Schaefer. The Rams visit the Bears. The Rams are 3.5-point favorites. Apparently, they're expecting a little bit of weather in Chicago on Sunday night. People are thinking that is going to bother the pretty boy Los Angeles Rams.
Are they pretty boy?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
They are not. They have won playoff games like this a couple times over the last several years. Like, they are a tough physical team. They are absolutely not. But once again, that's the narrative. So give me the Rams to win and cover and by a touchdown.
Cover by a touchdown. All right. Yeah, I'm taking the Rams as well. They are not a pretty boy team. They play the most, like 13 personnel. They get the tight ends in there. Oh, yeah. They play physical football. I don't believe in this Bears team. I don't believe in this Bears defense. I don't believe in this Bears season. It ends on Sunday. The Rams with the biggest margin of victory of any team this weekend as they beat the Bears by 3 scores.
Whoa!
I love it.
They win by 21.
17-21. 3 scores.
That's awesome.
17-24.
You're such
really.
a hater. That's amazing.
I do not.
This is the ultimate hate watch for both me and Mike Schaefer.
Why do you guys hate the Rams? Why is this a hate watch?
No, we hate the Bears.
Yeah, that's only one of the teams, though. I love watching the Rams play football. I can't believe you don't.
I think Sean McVay's an incredible coach.
And I think he's going to avenge his friend Matt LaFleur after that post-game handshake. He probably has some personal feelings for Mr. Ben Johnson.
Joey, you are the Packers. You are the meme of the guy who says, "Get in there and make it about you." The Packers. I have
never once considered this game as the Matt LaFleur revenge game.
No,
and now that's the only angle of which I'm in.
I don't have to think about the Packers anymore, which is excellent.
I think Sean McVay was asked during the week about the whole handshake thing between Ben Johnson and Matt LaFleur, and I know those two guys are closely connected to each other. But I think the Los Angeles Rams are going to win big. They are not stupid like the Packers. They'll maintain their lead. They'll win this game comfortably. Let's say 27-13. 2-possession game.
God, that almost makes me. You guys are so disrespectful. It makes me want to pick the Bears.
I figured you were going to pick the Bears.
You're
like, Caleb, he's going to throw 15 interceptions in the first half and 2 touchdowns in the second half. Great quarterback.
The Bears are only good when they need to play with a lot of urgency, and I think it's going to end Sunday night.
Okay. All right.
I just don't think they can keep pulling this out of the hat.
I just
don't think it's sustainable.
It's got to stop at some point. In against the Rams with an experienced head coach winning the Super Bowl.
I agree with you guys. I think the Rams are going to win, but you guys have blatant disrespect toward the Chicago Bears.
Are you surprised?
I'm not surprised as NFC North honks such as yourselves.
Honk.
But honk. 21 seems excessive to me.
17-24 is a 3-score game.
Three scores seems excessive to me.
Well, that's what they were down in the first half against Green Bay when they looked like trash.
They were
and a real team would have beat them, right, Joey?
Yes, sir.
All right, Rams win. So we have
having way too much fun.
We have very similar setups.
Yeah,
you're the only one picking Denver, and that's it.
Yeah, so I took Denver.
Yep.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect this. I figured Chicago for you. I didn't know about Houston and New England. I didn't know where you would go with that, but definitely thought you were taking the Bears. You're going to go full team of destiny.
Well, I want to
They're
now.
They're going to do it
because your guys' disrespect. But no, I'm not.
Well, you disrespected them by saying it's a touchdown game.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's that much disrespect. I just feel like this will be a good game, and the Rams
are going to double cover them, and you don't think that's disrespect?
One score. Remember Scott Frost? 1 score games. He did a lot of those.
Do I remember Scott Frost?
He lost a lot of those all the time.
UCF coach Scott Frost.
Good thing Scott Frost is not coaching the Rams special teams like he was the previous year. for some time.
That is true. That is true. All right, let's take a break. We will come back and round out the hour. Don't forget, we'll have a very special Omaha Storm Chasers related announcement coming up at the top of the hour. We're back after this on 1620 The Zone. Last night, baseball died. At least according to...
Again!
I know.
It's dead!
Can you believe it? First, again, baseball has died. This time, Kyle Tucker, the best player available in free agency this offseason, struck a 4-year, $240 million deal with, you guessed it, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Can that be a new bit? Is that our Frank Stallone?
You guessed it.
Yeah, you know what that's from, right?
Frank Stallone.
Oh, you don't know that. You are younger. So Norm Macdonald would do this thing where he would set up the punchline and then would say, "You guessed it," and then it would be Frank Stallone, the much less famous brother of
Sylvester.
Yeah. And so that was like a running bit of his on Weekend Update.
You guessed it.
Yeah, you guessed it, Frank Stallone.
So our you guessed it is just the Dodgers.
And it was
somebody got another player in baseball. You guessed it. It's the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Indeed. He's going into his prime. And once again, I will say 4 years, $240 million, which if you're a math whiz at home, gets to about $60 million a year. However, as has been tradition with these contracts, there is some deferred money. $30 million of it, a source told ESPN, deferred, which, I mean, still he's getting an extremely high, average annual pay rate on that. So $30 million of it is deferred money, but they're still going to pay him, at least according to ESPN, about $57 million this year, which is incredible. And remember, they're currently employing Shohei Ohtani, who makes, I believe, $5 a year,
something like that, for being the best baseball player anyone's ever seen.
And then he will make like $10 billion like after he retires.
And so I think the other thing with Kyle Tucker is that it's structured in a way where a big portion of this is a signing bonus.
Yep.
And so it is an absolutely absurd deal that can be done by one organization in a sport that just continues to have all kinds of issues, despite the actual quality of product has been incredible on the baseball field. It's just that the owners no longer want to even bother to attempt to bring in other players. And then we're all looking at a 2027 lockout that's staring us in the face.
Correct. In this, the haggling at this point has been over. All right, do we need a salary floor? Do we need a salary cap? Who wants what? The owners are trying to make one picture, the Players Association trying to make another. We have a big chasm in between the two, I think, at the moment. And at the same time, all this is happening, the Dodgers get every single player. They have won the last 2 World Series. I don't know if people have noticed that. They have won 2 World Series in a row. And their lineup now projects to look like this. Where should we start? Ohtani, Kyle Tucker, you still have Teoscar Hernandez, you still have Max Muncy, you still have Freddie Freeman, you still have Will Smith, and then there's guys like Andy Pages, who doesn't seem that important until he makes an incredible Game 7 catch in the World Series.
He had like 25 home runs last year.
I know, he's just the least famous guy on the team, I think, and Mookie Betts.
I was going to say, are you going to say like they have a Hall of Famer you haven't mentioned
who
yet?
had a down year last year?
Yeah,
and will obviously, I'm sure be back to his form in no time.
And then meanwhile on the mound,
oh yeah, they have some good guys there too. Even Clayton Kershaw retiring, well, it's probably a positive for them because he was not really good.
So much Schadenfreude if he would have come in and given up the game for them in the that game 6? Was that game 7?
On Clayton Kershaw's downfall?
It's not really anything to do with he's an incredible player,
but he has a lack of postseason success.
It would be the sort of idea that this guy who is a generational pitcher, but for whatever reason the month of October is this bugaboo, would come out of the bullpen, and this team that I just desperately wanted to see lose in the Dodgers, who just skinned the cat in all the different ways that they did.
I hated
that they would lose by having Kershaw, a Hall of Famer, come out of the bullpen and give the game up.
I hated that he was in the game at that point because I wanted the Dodgers to lose, much like you did, but I want good things for Clayton Kershaw.
See, he can just be part of the bad things for the Dodgers.
Anyway,
I want him to be a Hall of Famer. He is.
He will.
I want him to have made oodles of money. He has.
Did you?
He got his World Series.
Did you see they put him on Team USA for the World Baseball Classic? Like for no reason at all, other than just for him to be there.
So he can go pitch against Great Britain, I guess.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, I doubt he pitches really at all. He's when that guy retires, he's retiring. Like he already got pretty big.
People may not believe this, especially here where baseball is nowhere. It's not that big of a deal. The World Baseball Classic, if you ever have the opportunity to go, you're in one of the places that's hosting. It is an awesome atmosphere. Like, it was a
You went.
ton
You've
of fun.
been.
Yeah, I went. I watched the United States play Great Britain last time they played it at Chase Field down in
Phoenix.
I was in Phoenix. So
Nice.
it was a ton of fun. And then it's national sports, so you have that whole kind of feel for it. And a really good time. And I would love to be there when it's, United States versus Puerto Rico or versus, the Dominican Republic or Japan, the really good teams. And I got to see Great Britain, where most of the players are American and they just claim they're English.
Right.
So,
That's most of the other teams in the field that aren't the ones.
Oh, you mean Logan Allen is not from Panama?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's something in there somewhere where you can get away with that. But on the mound, yes, they have guys like Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell and Sasaki and Yamamoto and Otani. So that's just a couple of them. Anyway, it's amazing how every time any free agent signs anywhere, it's like, oh, where'd he sign to?
Oh, you mean like when they signed Edwin Diaz already?
Yes,
because their shaky bullpen that the Dodgers fans in my life cried about going into the, well, they're not going to go back to back. That bullpen, it's going to get them. No, don't worry. You just happen to have the most inexplicable 2 wins in Game 6 and Game 7, where everything just came up perfect for you in critical moments. Man, I hate them.
You do. That's very clear.
It's awful.
I don't think I hate them as much as you do. Your hate seems to be pretty strong.
It's pretty high. Yeah. It's a combination of like they can just go buy everything, which my team has been recent in my life good, but never good enough.
So there's like one thing on one hand where I'm like, you know what? I appreciate that somebody is spending the money.
Yeah, I want good players to get paid.
I appreciate that somebody is doing it. The deferred money is obviously one of the problems here. And then the other problem is that they're all going to one team.
Yeah.
It's
like the worst part of the NBA, but now it's happening in Major League Baseball.
Right. So there you go. People will yet again proclaim that baseball is dead today, but it's not. It is most certainly not. In fact, baseball is on the horizon. In just a couple months, the Omaha Storm Chasers will open up their season, and we have an announcement to make about the Omaha Storm Chasers. Actually, the Storm Chasers have an announcement to make, and we will
broadcast.
We will broadcast it. We will take a little horn and speak through it and make it louder.
Oh, okay.
And then we will have a special guest on next to talk about said announcement.
It's a megaphone.
Trust me, it'll all make sense after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Friday here on the Connor Happer Show with Mike Schaefer. It used to be the Connor Happer Show. It's Happer and Schaefer now, by the way. 1620.
Is that like the fifth time?
I don't know. It's going to keep happening. 1620 The Zone, 1620 The Zone.
If you want to call it the Connor Happer Show with Mike Schaefer, I'm fine with that.
I do not want to call it that.
That's totally okay with me.
I don't want to call it that. I just keep doing it because it's my, it's just what I've been doing every day for the last 4 years.
I am not offended. I want you to know that.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
Genuinely.
And it will probably keep happening.
Just allow me to sit over here and I'm okay with it.
We have a person on hold right now who is probably wondering what in the world are these guys talking about. It's been a week for us, and I assume it's been a week for this man. So the Omaha Storm Chasers have an announcement to make, and it is basically happening right now that they have a new manager for the 2026 season, and it is Patrick Osborne, just announced by the club. Pat was here last year as the bench coach under Mike Jerschley, and he joins us now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone Hotline. Well, how's that sound? Patrick Osborne, new manager of the Omaha Storm Chasers.
Guys, I appreciate you having me, and I love the friendly banner.
You can expect a lot of that, yeah.
A lot of banter.
No, it feels great. I've gone through a wide range of emotions and feelings. I think the one that stands out the most is just the gratitude I have for the opportunity. These jobs don't come along very often, and I'm able to lead a group of players and a staff at the AAA level, and I'm excited. I'm humble and ready to rock.
So you have some familiarity with last year under Jersch, and with the coaching staff around you, much of which is gonna stay in place, and it'll be a lot of the same apparatus for you. Like, I mean, how important is that in year one? And maybe you look around and you think, man, this isn't actually changing that much.
Yeah, I think it's supremely important, from the staff to the players, when there's previous relationships that are built, any line of work, I think you have a better chance at producing quality results. So with the staff returning, pretty much everyone except for Darren Everson, who took a job with the Washington Nationals, along with a number of players that I'm sure will be familiar faces, I think that sets us up for getting the best out of everybody.
I am curious because you kind of go through your managerial history. It started in independent ball, and then you were in the Yankees organization, and just kind of a steady climb from rookie ball into A, into high A, and eventually you were with the Trenton Thunder, now in AAA here with the Storm Chasers. From just a teaching development sense, how much changes going from rookie ball working with those guys to now you're with people who are just one phone call away from being called up to help out, injury or otherwise, in the show?
Yeah, it's the jump is enormous. I'm not sure you can quantify it when you're dealing with 17, 18-year-olds in rookie ball, some as young as 16, depending on how good they are and how mature they are at that level. From that age group to the AAA age group, it's night and day. You're talking about the first line of defense for a major league club. You're talking about players that are grown men with families, guys that have experienced the highest level of professional baseball, know they're good enough to get back there, but the frustration of being in AAA can affect them psychologically. So I'm not sure you can compare the two, other than the game is the same. It's just played at a much higher level, both mentally and physically at the AAA level.
What'd you learn from Mike Jerschley last year? I'll leave it wide open for you.
Many things, some of which I'll keep to myself. Jersch is, not only is he an accomplished baseball person, Jersch cares, and I don't know if people get to see that other than the group that's inside the clubhouse, but he cares about people. He cares about doing things the right way. He holds people accountable because he knows that's what's going to make them perform at their best. He manages his emotions really well. This is a game that can cause that blood pressure to spike instantly at any moment. And Jersh did a really good job of keeping that heartbeat slow, understanding that the game is difficult, and treating everybody with respect.
Patrick Osborne, the new manager of the Omaha Storm Chasers, is with us now on Happer and Schaefer. What is it about minor league baseball for you? I mean, in order to do this for this long, like you have several different organizations and different assignments and things like that, I think you really have to love it, obviously. So what is it about it, whether it's developing players or being in the towns, whatever it might be, that really jumps out to you about minor league baseball?
Yeah, I love that question because all of us, we sacrifice so much to do this job, from family to friends, being away from your home, to really help young men achieve their lifelong dream within a sport that causes so much failure. And I think for me, that's one thing that I fell in love with right away, is helping young men perform or try to perform at their highest level when so much adversity hits. And that's really what's driven me. And I found that out when I was away from managing and doing other things in the game, and I wasn't around a group of players every day. But that's where my passion lies, is helping those guys when they're getting punched in the mouth, and they got to show up every day and try to perform at their highest level.
Obviously, the opportunity is here in Omaha, but what did you learn in your year prior about the community that you're now going to be managing in and being a part of the community of Omaha as well?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pride within the Omaha Papillion area for the Storm Chasers. The team has been there for, I couldn't tell you exactly how long, but I know that they've been a presence in Omaha and Papillion for many years. And the support that they showed throughout the year, the ups and downs that we went through, they were always there. The fans care. And I think that they understand the game, and they understand the level. They understand that we're going to have a roster that is completely fluid, and there's guys moving up and down, and everything that comes with it. So they love baseball. They're supportive. I look forward to getting back there and learning more about the area, being that it was my first year, and being involved within the community service group of the Storm Chasers. But from everything I gathered, 2025, it's a community that supports the club and cares.
Let's get into some actual strategy here. This is among the most divisive things, it seems, anymore about the sport. How do you feel about bunting?
That's a great question, and it's something that our organization values tremendously. Not every organization values bunting, and I understand that. Our guys will bunt no matter who they are, because when they are called up and they're trying to help the major league club win a game, Matt Quattraro is going to ask these guys to bunt in certain situations. So, again, the situation is going to dictate it, but we do prioritize bunting, and our club will bunt when the situation is right.
Going back to before, I mean, and it's a little bit about style, but it's about managerial tactics and sort of how you're supposed to be able to do that. And it's an ever changing thing, right? But as you said before, a lot of the times when you get guys at the AAA level, you're getting them at like a really low point, or they're, one step away from being in the major leagues, and that's where they want to be. So how much of your job as a manager is obviously, yes, you're managing the baseball game, but also trying to get people in the right headspace and figure out, all right, what do we need to adjust as far as the mental part of it is concerned, which we know is such a huge part of the sport.
Yeah, no doubt. You wear so many different hats as the manager, and at the AAA level, I think the psychologist hat is probably one of the most important.
Yep.
Because there's frustration that comes along with playing at this level, because of where the guys have been, where they're just coming from, and that they want to be in the big leagues. There's no doubt about that. But you have to hold them accountable to do what's right to get back to the big leagues, and don't let that frustration hold you back or impact the way you're going to perform on the field. So I think honesty, along with vulnerability from my side, understanding that the game is difficult and that it's okay to be frustrated, but we have to move forward when the time is right so that they can perform at their best.
Yeah, and then one more for you, Pat. Like, as far as the Royals organization is concerned, I mean, obviously, you're trying to do the best for the major league club. Why do you see yourself as a fit to be, the guy on sort of the doorstep of the major leagues? Like, what fits about you and the Kansas City Royals?
I don't know if I could answer that with a concrete answer. But when you're within the organization and you learn about the people that have been here for so long, what they value, how they treat people, the communication, you start to get a sense that you fit the mold. And I noticed that right away, going into the interview process prior to last year, that this is a group that I can see myself working with, taking pride in, and hopefully growing for a long time. So, yeah, it's the AAA level. It's on the doorstep of the big leagues, but we have a job to do in Omaha, and we can't worry about, being close as a staff to the big leagues. We got to do our best to get these guys ready to go help the major league club. But there's just an overall sense of unity, community, family within this organization that once you're in it, you feel it, and that you may not be able to articulate it, but you feel it.
Yeah.
In 2019, you were with the Trenton Thunder. Would you like to bring a bat dog to Omaha? Is that something we could see this year?
Gosh, that dog was adorable and really impressive, the work that it did. There might be some sanitary issues that we'd have to run through. It was a tradition there. It's a tradition, I think, in a number of other minor league parks around the country. But our bat boys, I thought they did a great job in 2025. So we'll stick with them.
Well said.
We'll accept it. Very
diplomatic. Patrick Osborne, the new manager of the Omaha Storm.
Hey, congratulations.
Chasers. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on, guys. Look forward to meeting you. And if you need anything in the future, let me know.
You got it. Will do. There you go. That is the 20th manager all time in Omaha history. So I believe we're going on. I'm sure this is in the press release that Nick sent out somewhere. Is this now the 15th season of the Omaha Storm Chasers? I guess they would have started there in 11.
Yeah, that's not in the press release unless it's buried somewhere else.
Sent out a full one, but
I think that's correct. I was trying to think because the Omaha Royals and then Golden Spikes and then eventually Royals and then Storm Chasers have been in my life for as long as I can remember. I remember going to Omaha Royals games as a kid. I remember going to them, as a high schooler, as an adult. So it's definitely a fabric of the community. I value it. I love the idea that, this summer I will be taking Hudson to baseball games and he will be able to go, enjoy them. Hopefully we're not spending all of our time at the playground or the other stuff.
Well,
but that's their kids.
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty of the baseball park. That's
you can
the
let
part
them
of that
go.
Park is that you have that and you also get the baseball and everything else. The thing that fascinates me, and I wish that I would have had the wherewithal to ask this question in a certain way, but it's really amazing with the managers and the minors because you're super competitive. You want to win, but you have the long-term vision of the organization.
Yeah.
And you have to marry those two things as to how are you helping the organization in this moment? And then how are you also giving your team, which is also competitive, the best chance to win? Those are sometimes at odds.
Yeah, they won the International League just 2 years ago. Last year was a little bit of a down year. They had so many different faces in that ball. I mean, I'm sure Nick has the number somewhere, but it was a lot. There was a lot of people going in and out the door last year, and so maybe you can get some stability in there, and I'm sure Pat will do an awesome job. So we appreciate the Storm Chasers for lending him out to us, and maybe we'll be talking to Pat a little bit more as we go on throughout. So here we go. 16th year at Werner Park.
I think he likes to go by Oz or Ozzy. You think we can dive into that a little bit? Yeah, we could. You think we're close
the great
enough?
And powerful Oz?
Now that we've talked to him one time on the air, do you think we can just refer to him as Oz or Ozzy?
At Oz, it's Oz.
I think we go with it.
Yeah.
Then it's like we're part of the whole thing.
Yeah, now we're in it.
Yeah.
So 16th year at Werner Park, this will be the 15th season. And then, of course, Omaha is the longest running, franchise in AAA since 1969, in the third longest affiliation with a single club.
That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
The Omaha and Kansas City have been together for a long time. So just a couple years off of the 60th season, which will be a celebration in just a couple of years, 2028.
That's great.
Awesome stuff. We'll be out at the ballpark plenty this spring, and we encourage you guys to join them as well. Check them out, OmahaStormChasers.com. All right, we'll be back. We'll be joined by Jake Sorensen here in just a couple minutes to tease him on a Friday, because that's kind of what we do. Like literally, like we're his brothers. So that's pretty much what we're going to do with Jake. And then we have a couple more things to hit as we near the end of a Friday show here on 1620 The Zone. All right. Good stuff with Patrick Osborne, the new Omaha Storm Chasers manager. I am a manager. We did not ask him why he did not sign Kyle Tucker, but I don't think he has those powers.
Yeah, I don't think he's a GM as well. That's
no. Doesn't have the power in order to do that. All right, so one of the things that we're going to do on Fridays on this show is we're going to look back at the week, and we're going to tell you what we've learned throughout the week. This will be in our final segment. Usually, we're going to have Jake today at 9:30, so that will basically be our final segment today. We'll just talk about Nebraska ball with him. So we're going a little bit out of order. So unfortunately, we won't be armed with all of the information on what we learned this week because we will still have another segment. But we learned a lot. We learned a lot about ourselves. We learned a lot about, a lot of different things on this show this week. Schaefer, what have you learned in week number 1?
Yeah, from a Nebraska football perspective, I feel like we have learned this week as we get to the end of the portal that there are still plenty of players who believe in what Nebraska is doing over there, and Nebraska still believes in the foundation of its roster. Right or wrong, they have a belief that it was more valuable to them to hold what they have rather than go out and accumulate something different. And again, I don't know if that is the correct play, but that does fascinate me. And then in addition to that, we also learned that they put a lot of emphasis in just saying, you know what we've done at offensive line hasn't worked. Jeep Wade, Lonnie Teasley want a fresh start here with some of the guys in this next season. We're going to go out and get offensive linemen out of the portal more so than they had done the previous year, which surprised me. I wasn't expecting that coming in.
Yeah. Back to your first thing. I do think that's probably the right, however bad it felt at the end of the season, which it definitely felt
you have
bad.
to remind yourselves they were 6-2 going into the USC game.
I don't think they had another, you kind of had to double down and do this, bring these guys back.
Well, I think
it wasn't the players.
I think there's you want to bring them back, but also do they want to come back? Do they think they can be successful? Is this still your best route?
Yeah.
Those are all have to be answered, and they all seems like they said yes to that.
I think so. I think having people inside of your building for 2 years consecutively or 3 years consecutively, that is a huge thing.
It certainly is better.
It will be a huge thing for this
having
program
to have name tags for everybody.
Now I hope that they have a better sense of direction. My wish for Nebraska football in 2026 is a better sense of direction. Maybe I'll give them a compass or something like that. But yeah, there's pieces in the locker room, that's for sure. So
will the compass tell the kick returners to,
just stay in the end zone,
even though that arrow is pointing that way,
or they'll tell Ja'Cory Barney, stop falling down all the time. Why are you always falling down like that? I don't know if a compass will say that, but
man, the compass is
sort of mean.
Yeah, seems like it.
What I learned this week was not about Nebraska football at all. I learned about life.
What'd you learn about life,
I
Connor?
learned about what happens at 5:00 in the morning, which is nothing, literally nothing at 5:00 in the morning. It's just me and the open road. I learned that hydration is important. I learned that bananas are good snacks.
You didn't know that before?
I was never really interested in bananas.
Really?
And now I am very interested in, it's my kid's favorite food. Well,
all he asks for is a banana every day.
My kid's favorite food is probably yogurt.
And he doesn't say banana. He says it in a very cute nanas. Nanas.
Yeah, that is
nanas. He'll walk into the pantry and just point nanas.
But because of my child, we have a multitude of bananas on deck these days.
I feel guilty eating it because it prevents him from having
Exactly. I steal her bananas.
Like taking bananas from a baby.
So at 8:00, I eat a banana. This is my new tradition. For those of you who know me, Schaefer knows me, Joey knows me. I'm a big consistency guy. I like to have a routine. I like to do things the way that I sort of like to do things. So this whole whirlwind of a week and changing everything has been a complete nightmare for me. It's like, I got to be honest with you. It will get better. You just have to do it over and over and over and over and over again.
Just keep showing up.
And so that is what we're going to do. as we put a bow on week number 1. Joey?
I learned to develop a routine now that I'm getting up super early in the mornings. And another thing to learn is take it one day at a time. All this was a sudden moment for me, and it's just all about processing the opportunity presented. And I'm very, very glad to be with you two.
Let's go.
Hey, we're happy to have you.
I thought this was a great first week for us, considering the circumstances. This happened right all of a sudden, and we were trying to figure out what structure we wanted to go on this show. That first day, we were trying to figure things out,
and we still are.
We're still figuring it out, and we'll eventually be something great in the morning hours.
I agree, Joey. Good call by you. So
Joey which and I season of Matt Rule Nebraska is this show after its first week?
I don't. I hope none of them.
I was going to lean towards the Richard Bisaccia stuff, but I think that's no surprise of what's going on in Green Bay.
I hope none of them. I hope none of the Matt Rule seasons or any of the Rich Bisaccia seasons.
So we have not established respectability?
I don't know. That's up to other people to decide, I guess.
He's deciding it.
John texts in, look back at what we learned. I'm not here to learn anything. I'm here to complain about things. Oh, we'll have plenty of that going forward as well.
You'll hear the complaining.
Oh, yes, we will. All right. We will take a break. Our dear friend, young Jake Sorensen. By the way, Nick writes in on YouTube, Connor just needs 3 years. Wait until that third year. I've often said year 3 Connor Happer is when it all goes, when it all blows up.
Wow, I didn't know that.
A year 3 Connor Happer show. I mean, we really started to rock year 3.
It is year 3 Joey Colbert.
I don't want to wait for 3 years to rock. Well, I don't want to wait for 3 months to rock.
But you saw what happened with year 3 Matt Rule. It wasn't that cool.
No, it wasn't very cool.
So there is still a chance after 3 years that it's really not that good. I mean, we just have to do that. We just have to think about that going forward. All right. Jake Sorensen's next on 1620 The Zone. All right. Welcome back. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you here on a Friday. Happer Schaefer on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Mike Schaefer proffered this idea to me earlier this week or over the weekend or something. It's hard to say because time is a blur at this point. But he was like, what if we had Jake on? Young Jake Sorensen from 93.7 The Ticket.
You're not allowed to call him Young Jake, isn't he?
I'm doing a simple bit when I
know.
say that. He is older than me.
Yeah,
for
I'm
the
just making
record.
sure.
Not by much, but probably like a year or two or something like that. But I said, what an excellent idea. We could call him on Fridays, and then we could all make fun of each other. That sounds like a great Friday bit. So here he is, Jake Sorensen, who hosts Early Break on 93.7 The Ticket from 6 to 9, Monday through Friday. Hi, Jake.
Hey, guys. I love making fun of you guys. Let's do this.
This is fantastic. Although you're probably like, I don't know, what is the state of your brain right now, given that Nebraska basketball is doing what they're doing?
Well, it's actually the same thing, Happer. I mean, you were a lifelong Creighton fan. Of course, you represent both schools well, and other entities that you do.
Thank you.
I'm just curious how, you and the Blue Jay fans are doing, coping with the average season for Creighton and the incredible season for Nebraska. I'm turning it to you because you know me. I'm having the time of my life. I've never had sports success at any extent, so I don't understand what's happening. But I'm concerned about you and your the Creighton fans.
I feel great.
Anything.
I feel great. It's game by game for the Jays, and I am excited that Nebraska basketball gets to potentially, because they're definitely going to win.
He's taking it trolling.
They're definitely going to win a tournament game. He finally gets to experience this.
Defending himself in this program that hasn't beaten Nebraska in several years, is now witnessing as Nebraska is overtaking the sport of which it claimed to have been the king at.
They're definitely going to win a tournament
he's
game.
doing it by trolling. That's effectively what it is.
Last time I checked, Nebraska's won 3 of the last 4 against Creighton. 2 of those in Omaha. I think that's accurate information. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I just thought that they're, considering they're
like
17 now, they'll definitely win.
The rivalry. It seems like things have turned a beautiful direction.
One would
in
say,
this I-80 rivalry.
Since Connor Happer has moved to Omaha, Creighton basketball has started losing more to Nebraska. Is Connor the problem? Let's wonder aloud.
Kind of clear here.
It's interesting. It's very interesting. It's also possible that Creighton over the last any amount of years has won, I don't know, many NCAA tournament games.
He has to go backwards, folks.
Been to the Elite
He
Eight.
can't look forwards. It's always
Sweet
backwards.
16, 3 years.
And the now,
They've won an NCAA tournament game 5 years in a row.
That's pretty impressive.
It is.
I will say that. That is impressive. Greg McDermott is a great coach.
Yes.
I have always felt that. There was a time when this fan base did not think that. They wanted to run him out of town.
It was very early on. And then Doug showed up.
Well, no, it was after. There was a period after Doug where
the 1 year where they were bad.
There was people who called into the afternoon show when I would fill in complaining about Creighton that he wasn't winning enough. They didn't have the deep tournament run.
Wild.
Look, that was the thing. They didn't have the deep tournament run.
It was
that they were already maxed out as to what they were going to be. This isn't revising history. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And now it's like
they were wrong though.
Now it's like, oh yeah, no, he's a really good coach.
Yeah. In
an era where stability is hard to find.
But speaking of stability, Nebraska basketball. So Jake, you are known for just on a whim going wherever. I think I saw a tweet from you that you were interested in hopping in your car this weekend and heading to Chicago. Is this in the works?
Yeah, I can give you some news that's happening. We purchased tickets. Yeah. Me and young Nick Stainer at the station, and our buddy David, longtime advertiser, good friend of ours, that we've decided to we're taking a road trip, and we're leaving at noon today from Lincoln.
It's snowing, it's a horrible weather.
David, yeah, it is going to be bad. David has offered to drive the whole way there and back. So here's the plan. We're leaving at noon. We get there. We have a hotel in Evanston. I think it's the Hilton. We're going to go to Lou Malnati's tonight at 8:30. I think he already booked a reservation on it. He did this stuff 2 days ago. And then we're going to go to a bar called, I think, Bat 17. And then tomorrow we got seats, pretty good seats. It's a small arena, so there's no really bad seat there. But us three are going to the game in the middle of a row. 3 o'clock, and we plan to, unless the weather's terrible, drive all the way back Saturday after the game. So probably at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. arrival in Nebraska. But, yeah, when Nebraska is doing things, guys, it has never happened in the history of the program. Yes, they made it. They were a 3 seed in the early 90s.
People forget never happened. Yeah.
They've won 21 straight games. They're a top 10 team. I've never had this kind of success for a Nebraska team in my lifetime. So, yeah, I'm going to go support them on the road, have a good time, beat Northwestern, hopefully, and come back full of pizza and Italian beef.
Good job by you.
So what are you going to do in the time? Because it's a 3:00 game. So what are you going to do in the morning?
I'm glad you asked. We have an. Let me pull. I'm going to go on my speaker.
Are you going to go to the Bean?
The itinerary was sent from David. He's done a great job.
The itinerary?
Thursday. Yeah. 11 a.m. We're going to walk to Al's Beef at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Have lunch there. Walk back toward the arena. Drinks at Tapped Evanston from 1 to 2 or 5 and dime if people want to hang out with us there. And then we're going to go to the game. And I guess they sell alcohol there. So the party continues at Welsh Ryan Arena.
Look at that.
Are you organizing some sort of Nebraska gathering? And I know some people that are going. Should I send them your way? You know them too.
Yes. Yeah, I tell them to find us at Bat 17 this evening around 10:30 or so, and then tomorrow at the 2 bars I mentioned before the game. People are welcome to hang out. Listen, we want to celebrate this team the way they should be, and we're doing it. So we're part of it. We're excited, and we want to see all the Nebraska fans in the Chicago area show up and take over that purple arena.
Have you considered, something that we were talking about a little bit earlier, how Schaefer and I don't have as much freedom considering, we recently had children and things like that.
All 3 of us.
Jake has a child. Yeah. And yet here he is. I'm going to go to Chicago. I'll be back on Sunday, and then I'll be useless on Sunday, honey. What's going on with this?
No. Let me walk you through that. My wife is very supportive of me having fun.
Happer's not even going to lunch out of pure guilt. His wife is supportive too, and he won't even do it.
She knows I've been around a lot. I don't, I'm home every night. I'm not out and about doing stuff. I'm at the house. So I'm a supportive husband and father. And so when something like this comes up, like it's a 48-hour trip. I mean, we're leaving at noon today. We get back at 3 a.m. I will make it important. I do not just not show up Sunday. I will be present. We're actually going to go to a comedy show in Lincoln that night or that afternoon. So I will be present and take the punishment of low sleep and fight through it. I mean, we do a morning show, guys. We're always on low sleep. It's the way it is.
Good job.
So is there no chance that Scotland eventually starts singing the lyrics of Cats in the Cradle?
No, that's not going to happen. No Harry Chapin from her.
Nice.
No.
I assume that's been a song of the day at some point.
I had to have been.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's been 8 years of Song of the Day. It's been a lot of songs, a lot of repeats also. People are getting mad at me about that, but I can't help it.
Hey, so what we do on Fridays is we discuss what we learned throughout the week. With you very specifically, what's something you learned about Steve Sipple this week?
Okay. What did I learn about Sip? Sip is he hates the portal period with the passion. It causes him a lot more work hours than he wants, and at not the best times. Which I reminded him, you are a sports writer. This does happen.
What do you think he has an 8 to 5?
I think he has forgotten that in an industry that has very odd hours remains having odd hours, even if he's out of the Journal Star now at a website publication on 3 Husker Online. Things don't change. So I guess I've had to remind him of this job he's been doing for 30 plus years is still the way it is, even though there's been some changes. So he is thrilled that today is the last day of the portal as we know it. Certainly there could be some more news beyond that, but he's looking forward to next week and things supposedly, quote, slowing down in his world.
Yeah.
He likes to, no one's surprised, likes to go back on better times and look back at the day, but man, he likes talking about high school basketball from the 1980s as well.
Why?
We spent about an hour the last couple of days talking about dynamic brother duos from the past on the show. high school players across the state, and brought up guys from the 70s and the 80s and early 90s that were good and great teams of the past. And it's been a unique, crazy week, but that's every day working with Steve Sipple.
I also saw the picture going around of young strapping gentleman. I don't know what the context of that was, but that was pretty special. I'm sure you guys used that.
I think that bounced back from the fact we're talking about, their high school days and players that were good back in high school, and then somebody has found that picture, and it's made the rounds. Of course, we've used that. It's any picture of Sip at any time is great, and especially from back in his high school days, it's just glorious.
Agreed.
We spent a lot of time talking about what's going well for you sports wise with the Nebraska Cornhuskers. What about the Miami Dolphins? Who are they going to hire? What do you want here?
Well, I mean, Schaefer, you got to kick me when I'm down here. I'm living in the basketball dream, but the Dolphins are over here just being a bunch of idiots, as they always are. I wanted John Harbaugh. That was never going to happen because of the situation at quarterback and the fact that Chris Breland's an absolute disaster with the salary cap situation. Guys owed too much money, and Tua just being an absolute bum of a quarterback who lost his arm this year. So, no, I think that I think Chris Shula, of course, that's a fun story with his grandpa being Don Shula. Is he a great coach? I have no idea. He's popular with the Rams. He's going to be in the conversation. I like this theory, though. Like, I know that Packers fans are pissed that Matt LaFleur is on to get him out of here. Hey, bring him on down, man. I'll take him to Miami. That guy is a good coach. And
the next Joe Philbin, some are saying.
No, hell no.
Dave Wannstedt.
Well, my thoughts on Dave Wannstedt and Joe Philbin. Probably my two of my least favorite people on this planet are those two for what they did to my franchise. But then again, that's been every coach the last 25 years since Jimmy Johnson coached there. But I'm living in the world that this new GM that came from the Packers can somehow work a trade for Matt LaFleur to come down and be the coach. And if that's the case, I'm doing cartwheels and jumping jacks.
What are you willing to give up for Matt LaFleur? We'll see if you and Joey can make a deal on air.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what we can get out of Miami for this.
You know what?
Draft picks. We have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds this year. I want to say
you have to take the special teams coach.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you're willing to take Richard Bisaccia, I heard the Packers special teams thrive in the 4 years he's been running that unit.
You got to have Pistachio Richard.
You could have old man Richard.
Well, the Dolphins have not been great either in special teams, so I guess why
there
the hell
we
not?
go.
Change
why
the
not?
scenery, let's do it.
All right.
Maybe it'll work out for both of us.
You take Rich Bisaccia and Matt LaFleur, and that's it. There's no return player. That's a deal.
It's a coaching dump.
Here's a ham sandwich. Take it.
All right, Jake. Well, in all seriousness, the weather looks disastrous out there. So be
very careful.
Be
please.
safe on your trip to Chicago. Have
Everyone
fun.
driving.
Thank you. We'll do the best we can, and I will make sure. Happer, I try to stop at Portillo's for you. I know you're a huge fan of that place,
bring
so
me back one of the
like
paper hats.
Oh, that's the plan.
All right. See you later.
See you guys.
Thanks, Jake. That is Jake Sorensen from The Ticket.
That paper hat reminds me of Michael Bruntz calling you one of the Big Ten media days where I goaded Brunson to just call. He left you a voicemail.
Oh yeah, when you guys were the 24/7 Malort drinking team.
Yeah, that was.
I get a voicemail from Bruntz late in the night. I'm like, this is interesting.
It was like 11 o'clock.
I mean, but I was turned in already.
Yeah. Well, maybe you were doing early morning radio. I couldn't remember.
There was some talk of Malort. I don't know what we were doing, but I was because we were in Chicago. I had to do the morning show with Jake because Sipple wasn't there or something.
We had met up with Husker legend Todd Peterson.
Yeah.
And then it ended with the 3 of us going and playing pool.
Excellent.
At a random bar.
And
those guys just hurting really bad the next day.
When I received the voicemail, I was highly disappointed that I did not answer the call.
Everyone was.
I will say that. All right, that will do it for us this week. Appreciate you guys sticking with us. We know it's a change. We know it's a little bit different, but put your trust in Joey Colbert. That's what I'll say. If you don't trust Joey Colbert, then I don't know who you could possibly trust. He will get this train on the tracks. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover with Matt is coming up next.